Yuan Chen used to be a proud second-generation rich kid, but now his life is in shambles. His family is falling apart, and he's buried in debt. As soon as he stepped out of the building, he ran into Yuan Ting, who was following some old guys she was being supported by. Feeling down and out, he decided to activate a powerful system. All he had to do was spend money recklessly, and in return, the system would flood him with luck and rewards, making the girls go wild over him. As soon as he entered the courtyard, he took a beautiful girl shopping and splurged on designer clothes, living the high life. Not a fan of trains, he went straight to a showroom and bought a supercar. When he went to a bar, he didn't hesitate to drop $70 billion on investments. If any girl acted out of line, he'd punish her. And that's just the start. One beautiful morning, Yuan Chen was casually driving, feeling as if the entire world was his personal runway. The car came to a screeching halt on the road, the tires squealing so loudly that even the birds in the trees almost fell from the shock. People immediately started whispering and pointing at the supercar that had just stopped, their eyes wide as if they had seen an alien creature. Yuan Chen stepped out, calm and collected, flashing a confident smile so dazzling it almost made people want to put on sunglasses. The crowd erupted in excitement. Oh my god, it's Yuan Chen, the top second-generation rich guy in school, and he switched to a new supercar. But that was the end of it. From inside the car, a pair of white high heels stepped out gracefully. And right after that, a girl with a full glowing figure burst out of the car, her movements as smooth and seductive as if she were filming a perfume commercial. She flashed a proud smile and stepped out of the car like she was walking up to accept a Miss Universe crown. Below, a few men watched the scene, frustration and anger building up in them like they just drunk sour vinegar. This guy, on his very first day at school, was already cozying up to the perfect older sister, a second-year flight attendant. Damn him. Another young man nodded thoughtfully as if he just had an epiphany. He's from a rich family and good-looking, of course. He gets to pick whoever he wants. One more guy added a final blow to the self-esteem of the lonely souls. Not just pick. This guy's about to monopolize everything. I've heard there's even a line of freshman goddesses waiting for him. Yuan Chen and his girlfriend walked into the school, completely unaware of the simmering jealousy bubbling up around them from the student crowd. Upstairs, a group of minors weren't about to back down. They started whispering to each other, their eyes sharp as bullets. Wan doesn't even have a figure as good as mine, right? I hesitated just a little, and that's why I was slow to act. So annoying. Do you think there's still a chance? The opportunity is for those who are prepared. Don't let that bitch win. Yuan Chen stood downstairs, overhearing the conversation, but didn't pay much attention. He just casually glanced up, flashing a smile that nearly made the girls lose their balance. Everything still seemed perfect, like a scene from a romance drama, until the scene changed. Yuan Chen and his girlfriend were still happily strolling through the mall, living a luxurious life everyone dreams of. But soon, all of that became a distant memory. He thought back on it with a bitter feeling in his chest. What a shame. Spending money freely, living a life admired by others. Who could have predicted that by the time the third year rolled around, a storm would hit? 3 of his family's travel companies went bankrupt one after another, and on top of that, they were buried under a debt of $100 billion. The rich second generation went from living the high life to being homeless in the blink of an eye. When he finally woke up from the dream, Yuan Chen dragged himself into the dorm room, trying to hold on to what little self-confidence he had left. Hey bro, Jang, want to play some online games tonight and maybe invite a few pretty girls over? But no, times had changed. Jang coldly looked up and said, I don't think we're that close. Another guy, sitting with his legs confidently crossed like he was in charge, looked at him and said, do you think you're still the young master you once were? If you want us to come, we'll come. If you want us to leave, we'll go. No big deal. The harsh response left Yuan Chen speechless, feeling embarrassed. The group of friends he used to hang out with now avoided him faster than they would avoid an oral exam. Back then, he used to rent hotel rooms whenever he went out, but now he had to go back to the dorms and crash there. His parents and younger sister also had to move into a rental apartment, and now all they hoped for was just enough food to get through the day. With all that happening, forget about spending money freely. Just getting by day to day was a struggle. But it turns out life's shocks never come alone. The next morning, Yuan Chen received a message from Yuan Ting and went to meet her. When he faced her, Yuan Ting looked at him with cold, icy eyes. Her voice was sharp, like thunder crashing in his ears. Yuan Chen, stop it. Don't contact me again. I hope you find a girl who's more understanding than I am. Yuan Chen's mind immediately went blank, like his love-likes operating system had just shut down. He was stunned. His voice choked as if someone had punched him in the chest. Yuan Ting, 3 years of feelings, and you want to just end it like that? Are you really that heartless? Yuan Ting stared at him with eyes as cold as a freezer. Her tone was just like a CEO in a romance drama. talking like she was the purest soldier of love. How much love do we really have, Yuan Chen? Don't you know in your heart? She turned toward the luxury car parked by the side of the road, but before she left, she couldn't resist landing a final blow to the young man's pride in front of her. Oh, and don't call me Wan Ting anymore. We're not that close. If we ever run into each other again, honestly, it's probably better if we don't. When Yuan Chen heard this, it felt like a cold gust of wind hitting him right in the face on a summer day. He exhaled sharply, his heart sinking like a sad melody that didn't even need music. Zhu Wanting, on the other hand, remained as professional as ever in her role as the villain. She calmly closed the chat window with her ex, signing off with one last sentence. I'm going now. My friend's here to pick me up. But Yuan Chen wasn't going to let it end like that. He quickly reached out and blocked the car door, his voice urgent like he had nothing left to lose. Wait. Zhu Wanting flinched, her heart racing as 100 dramatic scenarios played out in her mind. Is he going to kneel and beg or shout at me like in those Korean dramas? What does he still want? At that moment, Yuan Chen was completely shut off from his emotions. His eyes were cold and rational. He took a deep breath and made a very practical suggestion. Those designer bags I bought you. You probably won't use them anymore. How about you just return them to me? Zhu Wanting immediately panicked, her eyes wide as if she had just heard the most absurd thing of the century. She bristled, almost brawling. Yuan Chen, do you have any shame at all? I've been with you for 3 years and you only bought me a few cheap bags. Now you're breaking up with me and want everything back. Yuan Chen sighed, realizing right away that this approach wasn't going to work. He changed his tone and smiled, trying to show goodwill. All right, fine. If you really can't return it, then we'll take the money back. But how about we revisit the old dream just once more? The moment those words left his mouth, Zhu Wanting's face turned bright red. It wasn't because of embarrassment, but because she was so angry she nearly kicked him. Go away. Just then, an old man poked his head out from the car, speaking with a smile that seemed to savor his victory. Hey, Wanting, get in the car. Don't be mad at the young man. Where are you headed? Do you need me to give you a ride for a bit? Yuan Chen heard the voice, turned to look, and immediately had a sarcastic thought. I can't call her Wanting, but he can. Looks like money really does shape people's priorities. He responded coldly, his tone full of arrogance. I'm good, thanks. My place is very close. The old man, however, had no intention of letting this opportunity slip by. He continued to smile knowingly and said, Wanting and I have something to take care of right now, but I'm just worried about you. I'm afraid you might be upset and overthinking things. Young man, I think I should make sure you get home safely. Hearing this, Yuan Chen's temper flared and a thought immediately crossed his mind. Killing me isn't enough. Now he's going to attack my pride too. If I don't retaliate, it'll make me look like a fool. He then leaned into the car and responded. Boss, you really are a good person. I truly appreciate your kind intentions, but my home is very close, just a few steps away on foot. Turning to Zhu Wanting, he spoke with a serious tone as if he were handing over national property. Wanting is a good girl. I hope you'll take good care of her from now on. Zhu Wanting widened her eyes, completely confused about what Yuan Chen was up to. Inside the car, the old man looked pleased with himself and nodded in agreement, saying, Ha ha, don't worry. I'll take good care of Wanting. Yuan Chen smirked, then dropped the bombshell. As men, we have to give women the best. Just remember this, my friend. Wanting has a lot of special habits. First, she likes to use Okamoto 001. Second, she doesn't need high-quality condoms because the premium ones are not as convenient. And lastly, nurse and police uniforms are her favorite outfits to wear when enjoying life. As soon as the words were spoken, the atmosphere suddenly thickened like sticky mouse glue. The old man immediately switched to error mode, his face turning as pale as if he had just swallowed rat poison. After a long pause, he stammered out a response. Ha, now all I can do is talk just to feel good. With that, he slammed the car window shut and floored the gas pedal, speeding off as if someone were chasing him. Yuan Chen stood there, watching the car zoom away into the distance and let out a deep sigh with a knowing look. Old man, I was just getting to the point. Zhu Wanting, maybe your choice was the right one after all. The sun beat down harshly from above, its intense rays making Yuan Chen squint. He raised a hand to shield his eyes, kicked a small stone beneath his feet, and murmured as if to himself, Never mind, this isn't my problem anymore. I just hope her choice leads to a perfect life. Standing under the sun, Yuan Chen still felt the lingering emotional shock. Just as he was about to turn and walk away, he thought, yes, everyone should take the chance to live their own perfect life. The perfect life system began downloading. A mechanical voice suddenly rang out from nowhere, causing Yuan Chen to jump. In front of him, the sun vanished as if someone had pressed the delete button. Instead, a yellow-orange interface panel appeared, floating in midair. Yuan Chen's mouth fell open, his eyes wide with shock. On the system screen, a series of personal details about him appeared. Owner, Yuan Chen, age 21, height 182 centimeters, weight 70 kilograms, asset value 87, health value 72, still fit enough to run if chased by a dog. Physical strength value 75, meaning he's not weak, but also not strong enough to go beat someone up over money. Skills, no, this part is the real pain. Yuan Chen broke out in a cold sweat, feeling like his mind was no longer working properly. Wait a minute, am I the owner? I'm not begging for my life or anything. Why am I having this hallucination? And what's with this system? But it didn't stop there. The screen continued to display a mission list as long as his family's debt list. Perfect life system download complete. Perfect life requires not just money, but also prioritizing relationships with the opposite sex. Starting time-limited mission. Spend money on a person of the same age who has a favorite level over 60. If that person values you, the money spent will be refunded 3 times. If the favorite level increases by 3 points during this spending, the refund will be doubled. Note, only accept payment via account or cash. Yuan Chen finished reading and immediately felt his brain reboot. Do I really have a hack system? This is kind of ridiculous, right? It's just an illusion. It needs to go away. Just then, a voice called out from behind him, Yuan Chen. He jumped and turned around. Standing in front of him was a girl looking at him like he'd just taken sleeping pills in the middle of the day. A guy should have some confidence, you know? It's just a breakup. Do you really need to let it affect you this much? This beautiful girl was his academic advisor, Like Xiao. Like Xiao walked over to him, her tone gentle yet encouraging. I saw everything just now. But honestly, the way Vice put it is the most accurate. Bye means bye. The next person will be even better, right? Yuan Chen stared at her, but what caught his attention wasn't her words. It was the bright pink number 65 glowing above her head. Yuan Chen froze, thinking, oh, there's a number over her head. The system immediately announced, Like Xiao, favorite level with the host 65. Yuan Chen took a deep breath, and his mind started analyzing. So this number was the favorite level, meaning this perfect life system wasn't just an illusion, it was real. While he was still caught in this chaotic train of thought, Like Xiao continued smiling softly. Yuan Chen, get a hold of yourself. Yuan Chen quickly scratched his head and laughed, replying, I'm fine, teacher lie. But inside, he felt like he had just unlocked someone else's bank account like a hacker. Wow, I really feel like I've hacked the system. Like Xiao nodded and then, as if remembering something, asked, oh, by the way, I mentioned the financial aid for your tuition last time. Have you had a chance to think it over? The paperwork was already submitted, and this is one of the few things I can help you with. Yuan Chen responded right away. A few $1,000s would hardly make a dent in the debt my family has. Maybe it's better to give that financial aid to someone who needs it more. Like Xiao nodded thoughtfully. If that's how you feel, I won't push you. She then smiled gently like an older sister reminding her younger brother, Yuan Chen, if you ever face any difficulties, come to me, even if it's about personal issues. I'm leaving now, but remember that, okay. Like Xiao waved goodbye with a graceful gesture, then turned and walked away. Yuan Chen watched her for a moment, his expression thoughtful, like he was calculating something in his mind. In front of him, a glowing system interface appeared, almost like a flashy store sale announcement. Suddenly, a question popped into his head. The system's tasks have time limits. If I complete the task, I'll get double the money back. Isn't this a rare chance to make some money? Maybe I should try it out. Actions speak louder than words. Yuan Chen immediately rolled up his sleeves and rushed in front of Like Xiao, gently grabbing her hand. Teacher Lai, I really appreciate how much you care about me. Please wait a moment, I'll go buy bubble tea for you. Like Xiao was taken aback by this sudden show of gratitude and quickly waved her hand. No need to be so polite, Yuan Chen. But before she could finish her sentence, Yuan Chen had already disappeared like a gust of wind. If he ran a 100-meter sprint, he'd definitely win the gold medal. Just a moment later, he returned, holding a cup of bubble tea. With a bright smile, he presented it to Like Xiao as if offering a precious treasure. Teacher Lai, please have some. Like Xiao blushed slightly, feeling a bit shy, but still reached out to accept the bubble tea, her voice quieter now. Thank you, Yuan Chen. At that moment, Yuan Chen quickly pulled out his phone to check a notification. A formal banking message appeared on the screen. Your savings account with card ending in 98 received 18 yuan at 4:40 p.m. May 10. Account balance, 99 yuan. He stared at the message and took a deep breath, as if he just discovered treasure. He quickly did the math in his head. I had 87 yuan before, spent 6 yuan on the bubble tea, leaving 81 yuan. Now I've received 18 yuan back, bringing my total to 99 yuan. So the system really did double my refund. As long as Teacher Lai's favorite level with me stays above 60 points, I can just keep spending money on her, then get double the cash back in return. Isn't that an endless cycle of making money? The family debt might actually be paid off, and with some careful planning, we could even end up wealthier than before. Yuan Chen's mind immediately started working like a high-powered economic machine. Not only did he need to go back to his old life, but he also needed to live much better. However, when he looked at his balance, he frowned. But I only have 99 yuan right now. That's way too little. The task ahead is to raise a decent amount of capital, and at the same time, find more girls to spend money on so I can create the perfect financial investment system. He then leaned against a wall, scrolling through his phone like an investor analyzing the stock market. He checked his list of loans. Cash limit 8,000 yuan. Jew can access 20,000 yuan. Business loan 21,580 yuan, plus the initial 99 yuan. The total capital right now is 499,684 yuan. A bold plan began to form in his mind. Teacher Lai, I'm just a poor student from a bankrupt family, but if I want you to accept a gift from me, I'll have to figure out a way to make it work. Later, an expensive box was neatly placed in the trash. In Yuan Chen's hand was a shiny designer bag. He took a quick glance at it and quickly came up with a plan. This bag costs 39,800 yuan. It's the new model for this spring. If I tell her it's a high-end knockoff, she'll probably accept it. With that, he quickly headed to Lai Xiao's dorm. Before knocking, he couldn't help but wonder. I wonder if Teacher Lai has a boyfriend yet? The door opened, and when Lai Xiao saw Yuan Chen, she was surprised. Yuan Chen, what are you doing here? Teacher Lai, I'm sorry to bother you. Are you cooking? Lai Xiao replied, is there something you need? Yuan Chen immediately raised the bag and with a sincere yet calculated tone said, Teacher Lai, you've been so kind to me throughout these 3 years of college. I always thought it was just part of your job, but today I realized how valuable your care really is. This is a small token of my appreciation. Please, you have to accept it. Lai Xiao stared at the bag in Yuan Chen's hand, her heart screaming, oh my god, this bag looks so expensive. No, I can't accept this. It'll be a disaster if I do. Thinking that, she immediately shifted into serious mode, crossed her arms, and said, I'm a teacher. Things like this are part of my job. I don't do anything special. I treat all my students the same, so there's really no need for this. Yuan Chen heard this and just gave a faint smile, then slowly explained, this bag is just a high-end knockoff, you know. It only cost me 2 yuan. Teacher Lai, you already know about my family's financial situation. If I had extra money to spend on random stuff, it would only be in my dreams. But you've helped me so much, I can't just do nothing to thank you. Even though this bag isn't worth much, it's my token of appreciation. If you don't mind, please accept it. Lai Xiao looked at him for a moment. In her mind, an alarm immediately went off. This kid's been this persistent. If I don't accept it, it'll feel like I'm rejecting him. And right now, he's in a sensitive stage. Pushing him further might cause trouble. So she reached out and took the bag, nodding as if to say, all right, I'll just accept it for now, and said, well, I'll keep it for now. Later, on a holiday or your birthday, I'll give you something in return. Just as the conversation seemed to be going smoothly, a strange smell suddenly wafted out from the kitchen. Lai Xiao's eyes went wide in panic as she shouted, oh my god, the meat on the pan is burning. It's burning. She then dashed into the kitchen like a gust of wind. A moment later, Lai Xiao stuck her head out of the kitchen, beaming, and called, Yuan Chen, you haven't had dinner yet, have you? Stay and eat with us. Yuan Chen smiled gently. In his mind, he quickly calculated, as long as her boyfriend isn't a problem, staying for dinner is no big deal. After all, getting closer to her will increase my favorability level. And the higher my favorability, the more money the system will give me. When it comes to money, suddenly the phone buzzed and the notification system chimed with the sound of money. Your savings account with card number ending in 98 received 119,400 yuan at 6:45 p.m. on May 10th. Current balance, 120,200. Yuan Chen looked at the message, his heart racing, and immediately did the math in his head. The 39,800 bag returned 3 times is 119,400. After subtracting the cost, I made almost 80,000. It's not like I've never spent 80,000 before, but earning it myself. This is the first time. This is youth. This is victory. He was lost in the thrill of his newfound wealth. Yuan Chen didn't notice that Lai Xiao had finished cooking dinner. She turned around and clapped her hands. Yuan Chen, sit down and eat. Why are you just standing there? He snapped out of his daze, a bit stunned, and asked without thinking. It's just the 2 of us eating. Where's your boyfriend? Lai Xiao, taking off her apron, answered matter-of-factly, boyfriend, I don't have one. Oh wait, got caught up in that. Yuan Chen quickly placed his hands on the table, stepped closer to her, and sincerely offered, Teacher Lai, Let me help you. Like Xiao immediately switched to defense mode, waving her hands frantically. No, no, Domi. But Yuan Chen, in the blink of an eye, was already behind her, helping her take off the apron. Watching her soft figure move around, her hands going everywhere, he said gently, "It's okay. I'll be done in a second." Just then, a loud voice boomed from the doorway. "What are you two doing?" The person who had appeared was none other than Lai Xiao's younger sister, Lai Meng. Yuan Chen jumped in surprise and stammered, "And no, we're not doing anything." Lai Xiao, on the other hand, stayed completely calm as if nothing had happened. She cheerfully asked, "Why are you so late today? Come on, let's eat." With that, she rushed over to hug Lai Meng's arm and introduced her with all the seriousness of introducing a CEO. "This is my sister, Lai Meng." Yuan Chen raised his hand and waved, his voice shaking. Hello, hello." Lai Meng gave him a cold top-to-bottom look before delivering a sharp blow with the single sentence, "I don't like you." Yuan Chen, sensing the situation was going south fast, immediately activated his escape mode. Teacher Lai, I already ate before coming, so I should head back to school now." Lai Xiao stood there watching Yuan Chen's figure fade into the distance, her mind full of questions. Wait, he was just about to sit down and eat, but now he's saying he's already eaten. What's going on? Before she could even make sense of the situation, Lai Meng stood with her hands on her hips, looking serious as she declared, "Sister, I think that guy has bad intentions." As soon as Lai Xiao heard that, she immediately switched into protective mode and firmly responded, "He's just my student." Lai Meng, upon hearing this, shot her a glare so intense she looked like she might explode. What audacity! A student wants to hug his teacher. Lai Xiao's face turned bright red in embarrassment and discomfort. "Stop talking nonsense. Let's just eat." Meanwhile, Yuan Chen was walking along, lost in thought. His mind was filled with numbers and financial plans. Who should he spend money on next? On one hand, Teacher Lai was just his teacher, but on the other, she wasn't the type of person to care about money like Zhu Wanting. As he was deep in thought, suddenly a figure staggered and collapsed right into him. Yuan Chen quickly caught the person, steadied himself, and took a closer look, instantly recognizing him. "Oh, hi Bao, what happened to you?" The man in front of him looked deathly pale, as though all of his energy had been drained. His trembling hand clutched Yuan Chen's, and his voice was desperate, like he was on his last breath. "You and my goddess, Feng Binhu, went to see a movie with that guy, Lai Zhanpeng. That damn guy." Seeing the state he was in, Yuan Chen couldn't help but sigh in frustration. This was Wang Hai Bao, his roommate. Hearing the name Feng Binhu, a whole stream of memories instantly flashed through his mind. She was the class beauty of the second-year international business program, class of 2020, the goddess in Huang Haibao's eyes. But in reality, the two of them had never had any kind of relationship, not even a single conversation. He looked at his friend with a pitying gaze and asked, "That's it." Huang Haibao was immediately stunned. He stared at Yuan Chen wide-eyed and said, "Brother Yuan, what's with that look? Are you making fun of me?" Yuan Chen didn't answer. He just casually glanced away and said softly, "Shh, be quiet. Look over there." Instantly, Huang Haibao's eyes lit up like car headlights. He focused on the two gorgeous women with killer bodies walking toward him. Excited, he turned to Yuan Chen and asked, "Brother Yuan, she's just going to see a movie with that guy Lai Zhanpeng, right? She can rent a room or anything. I'm so happy. Does that mean I still have a chance?" Yuan Chen could only sigh to himself. To like a girl so much that it made him act so low. Wang Haibao, you're never going to get anything sweet out of this. But as he sighed, his gaze unintentionally drifted forward, and suddenly, a number 72 appeared above Feng Minhu's head, sparkling brightly. He couldn't help but be taken aback. Oh shit, she has a number 2, and it's even higher than Teacher Lai's. The miner walked beside Feng Binhu, casually glancing over at Yuan Chen before giving a small smirk and dropping a bombshell. Yuan Chen just got dumped by his girlfriend. No mercy. Feng Binhu was a bit startled when she heard that, but before she could react, her friend next to her closed her eyes, shook her head, and let out a long sigh, muttering 3 words full of regret. Yuan Chen, no good. Feng Binhui suddenly stopped, glanced at him, and started thinking things through. It turned out that back at the start of the semester, she had naively believed it was the right thing to encourage Yuan Chen to be more social. She had even handed him water herself. Looking back, it was definitely a move that belonged in the "what was I thinking" category. It was one thing for a rich kid to be a bit arrogant. That was bearable. But this guy was bankrupt and still acting all high and mighty. No wonder his ex-girlfriend dumped him. Who wouldn't? She was lucky she didn't fall for him. Otherwise, 3 years of her youth would have been wasted. After learning that painful lesson, all Feng Minhu could do was sigh. Meanwhile, Yuan Chen stood there watching her, feeling like he'd been struck by lightning. He was silently panicking, thinking, oh no, I thought I was finding someone with a high favorability level to take advantage of. Why do the numbers drop so fast? This isn't good. I can't just sit here and wait for things to fall apart. Grinding his teeth, Yuan Chen made a decision to take action immediately. So he turned to Huang Haibao with a serious look on his face and asked, hey, Haibao, I've got a question for you. If Feng Minhui ends up with me, would you care? Huang Haibao immediately narrowed his eyes, rubbed his chin, and thought for a moment. Like a relationship expert, he pointed out a harsh truth. The real issue was whether Yuan Chen could even win over the class beauty. Do you still think you're the rich second generation driving a top-tier BMW like back in the day? But then, showing some brotherly spirit, he waved his hand and added, but to be honest, I don't really care. As long as she doesn't pick Lai Zhanpeng, she can be with anyone she wants. Yuan Chen instantly broke into a wide grin and said the line he had been waiting for. You're a true bro. I've been waiting for you to say that. Now I'm going in. Without another word, he turned around and ran like the wind, leaving Huang Haibao standing there, frozen for a full 3 seconds before shouting, Yuan, are you serious? Yuan Chen didn't look back. He dashed straight to Feng Minhu, stopping in front of her with the most serious face as if he was about to make the most important announcement of his life. Classmate Minhu. Feng Minhui immediately blushed, her eyes wide in surprise. Her friend beside her jumped and shot, instinctively taking a defensive stance to protect her. Before Yuan Chen could say anything, the friend darted in front of Feng Minhui like a flash of lightning and cautiously asked, Yuan Chen, what do you want with Minhua? But Yuan Chen didn't let himself get distracted. He cleared his throat, put on his most sincere expression, and invited her. Are you free tomorrow? I've reserved the table at Star Sushi Kaiseri. Would you like to come with me? Feng Minhui turned even redder and felt her mind start spinning. What? Yuan Chen is asking me to eat with him. Her friend Minor wasn't so easily persuaded. She immediately raised an eyebrow and asked, Sushi, that restaurant costs over 1,000 yuan per person. Do you even have that kind of money? Yuan Chen didn't pay any attention to her. He simply scratched his head and smiled. After we eat, we can go for a walk. I need you to help me pick out a birthday gift for my little sister. If you can, let me know tomorrow. With that, he turned around and walked off with a confident stride. I'll head out now. We'll be in touch tomorrow. Feng Binhu, still flustered, turned to her friend and asked, This? I just went to the movies with Lai Zhanpeng and now I'm going to eat with Yuan Chen. Is that okay? Her friend nodded enthusiastically as if she couldn't understand why Feng Minhu was even questioning it. What's wrong with that? It's a high-end Japanese restaurant. Yuan Chen was a little arrogant, but at least he was good-looking. Lai Zhanpeng's family had some money, but if Yuan Chen's family bounced back economically, they would easily surpass Lai Zhanpeng's by a long shot. Not going would be a waste of time. After all, it was just a casual dinner and stroll. Nothing serious. Hey, I'll enter for you tonight. Feng Minhu, still a bit confused, said, All right then. So the next evening, she and Yuan Chen casually walked to the restaurant. As soon as they sat down, the staff quickly brought out the dishes and respectfully introduced them, saying, Hello, Mr. Yuan. Here is the 2-person menu you requested. Enjoy your meal. As Feng Binhui sat down, she smiled, tilted her head, and looked at Yuan Chen before saying, Yuan Chen, I heard your family is going through a tough time. You don't have to spend money like this. He wasn't fazed at all. Calmly, he replied, It's fine. The Japanese food here is really good, totally worth the money. But as he turned to look, Yuan Chen was immediately hit with a visual shock. Feng Minhui was sitting in a very relaxed position, looking like she was all over the place. Calm down. It's only been 2 months since I last played cards. No need to freak out. Stay calm. Feng Minhui had no idea that Yuan Chen had just gone through an intense mental battle. She tilted her head and asked, But why did you suddenly invite me to eat? Is it really just because you're picking a birthday gift for your sister? Yuan Chen, who had been drinking tea to calm his nerves, immediately put his cup down when he heard the question. He nodded honestly and replied, Actually, I've always wanted to invite you to a meal. It's just that I never had the chance before. As soon as he finished speaking, he was startled to see the number above Feng Minhu's head drop to 66. She simply said, Oh, and fell silent, her expression seeming a bit deep in thought. Yuan Chen turned pale, his mind screaming, What? Does she not like my answer? Why did her favorite level go down again? He immediately cleared his throat a few times to change the mood and decided to shift the conversation. Do you remember when we were in military training? You used to buy me drinks all the time and you'd text me at night to chat. I've always remembered that. As soon as he finished speaking, the number above Feng Minhu's head jumped to 67. She blushed, asking in a quiet voice, You still remember? Yuan Chen smiled, scratching his head. How could I forget something like that? The number went up to 69 and then slowly crept up to 70. While Feng Genhui was left unsure of what to say next, Yuan Chen fought with his thoughts, telling himself, stay calm, stay calm. Time passed by, and the two of them ate in an atmosphere that couldn't have been sweeter. 40 minutes later, they stood up together and walked to the counter. The cashier cheerfully announced, hello, sir. Your total for today is 2,920 yuan. Since you're a member of our restaurant, you get a discount, so the final amount is 2,774 yuan. Yuan Chen kept a neutral expression, nodded, and simply replied, all right, thank you. The cashier immediately raised her score to 73 points and, in her mind, couldn't help but sigh. My monthly living expenses are only 3,000 yuan, and just one meal here nearly used it all up. Thinking about it, Lai Zhanpeng is also rich, but after we went to the movies, he always said we should go to the school canteen for a quick bite and save the next meal for when we go out again. He's clearly from a wealthy family, but he's so stingy. Compared to Yuan Chen, it's like night and day. At the same time, a notification sound rang in Yuan Chen's head from the system. Time-limited mission. Spend money on someone of the opposite gender with a favorite level over 60 points and earn their respect. Reward. The money spent will be tripled. If the other person's favorite level increases by 3 points after this spending, the reward will be doubled. Yuan Chen had just heard the news when he turned around and looked at the 76 eggs that had dropped on Feng Minhu's head. In that instant, he understood a great life lesson. When they first met, it was 72 eggs, now it was 76. So this was what it felt like to have a meal that earned you hundreds of thousands of yuan. It was too much. Feng Binhui was still blushing in embarrassment, but deep down she found Yuan Chen more and more appealing. She quietly smiled to herself, thinking that the more she looked at him, the more she felt drawn to him. Maybe this was the power of money. After a moment of thought, she instinctively reached out and grabbed Yuan Chen's hand, offering a gentle smile. Let's go, Yuan Chen. We still have to go to Gujin to pick out a gift for your sister. A little while later, the dazzling Gujin shopping mall, the old man spotted Yuan Chen and immediately nudged Zhu Wanting with his elbow. With a curious and annoyed look, he whispered, Hey, Wanting, what's that kid doing here? Zhu Wanting paused for a moment, then her face quickly shifted to one of annoyance. She curled her lip in contempt and said, with a simple yet venomous tone, Yuan Chen. On the outside, she was calm, but on the inside, she was boiling like a volcano ready to erupt. Her mind quickly spun with a series of theories. What's this? They broke up yesterday, and today he's already hanging out with someone new, strolling around the mall together. I thought he was so loyal. But turns out he's just another untrustworthy man. The old man's thoughts boiled with frustration. This kid is so poor he doesn't even have a place to live, drowning in debt, yet somehow he has girls chasing him. Meanwhile, here I am, busting my back, working like a dog just to buy some fancy bags to impress Wanting. Where's the fairness in that? Damn, isn't this infuriating? While the two people were caught up in their emotions over the boy's appearance, Yuan Chen remained calm and unaffected, like a cool autumn breeze. He turned to Feng Binhui and gently said, Let's go to another store. Feng Binhui didn't say much, he simply nodded in agreement. Okay. But of course, things didn't end that easily. As soon as the two noticed Yuan Chen was about to leave, they snapped into action, determined to stop him. The old man stepped forward, blocking the way with a sinister smile, his voice dripping with challenge, practically begging for a fight. Well, since you're already here, why not take a quick look around? After all, it won't cost you anything just to look right. Zhu Wanting joined in with a sarcastic, probing tone. Yuan Chen, what are you doing here? And who's she? Yuan Chen raised an eyebrow, his expression as cold as ice, and gave a sharp, simple reply. Funny coincidence, I'm just out for a stroll, picking up a gift for my little sister. Hearing that, the old man burst into mocking laughter, then casually pointed toward the luxury store behind him and said, Ha ha, you think you can buy a gift? If you're going to buy something, you should head to a wholesale toy market. Are you sure you have enough money for something like this? Before he could even finish his sentence, Zhu Wanting quickly joined in, sliding up to Feng Minhu like she was about to share some survival secret, then let out a cryptic remark. Listen, I don't know who you are, but I just want to give you a friendly piece of advice. Don't let people like this fool you. Seeing this, Yuan Chen couldn't just stand there. He stepped forward, positioning himself in front of Feng Minhu, and coldly responded, What's it to you? And who am I fooling? Probably you. The old man kept attacking. Yuan Chen, you really shouldn't talk to Wanting like that. A man should show some class, don't you think? Besides, Wanting was your ex-girlfriend, right? I know all about your situation. Bankrupt, drowning in debt, and still pretending to be some big shot. Don't you realize everyone's laughing at you? Yuan Chen could no longer hold back. The only thought running through his mind was that this couple was so perfectly matched it was almost nauseating. But just as the frustration was about to explode, a familiar sound suddenly rang in his head. The voice of the system. A perfect life should not be looked down upon by others. The task is to spend money on someone of the opposite sex with a favorability level above 60, while also creating negative emotions in those around you. Reward. Every time the negative emotional value of those around you increases by 5 points because of you, you will receive double the amount of money you spent as cashback. Note, this task can be stacked with cashback rewards when spending money on someone of the opposite sex. Yuan Chen rolled his eyes and noticed the numbers -30 and -35 appearing above the heads of the two people. He immediately understood the situation, a smirk appearing on his face as he thought, I was initially going to let them off with a way out, not wanting to embarrass them in front of everyone. But since they insist on causing trouble, now that the system's given me a task, I have no reason to hold back. With that, he wasted no time and casually took Feng Minhu's hand, confidently walking toward the luxury store with a smile. All right then, let's go inside and take a look. Inside the store, the two receptionists who had been gossiping from the beginning immediately exchanged a glance when they saw Yuan Chen walk in. One of them quickly whispered to the other, feeling awkward. Who's going to take care of him? The receptionist standing beside her smirked and replied sarcastically, Me? No way. Why would I bother with a rich kid who's gone bankrupt? The last time that fake god came in, I had to run around trying on clothes for her, and he didn't pay a stinkle penny. It's your turn now. The receptionist who had been pushed into the task instantly frowned and shot back, glaring. I told you have to go. Meanwhile, Zhu Wanting scanned the store before finally pulling out a designer bag and presenting it to the old man standing in front of her with a soft, coaxing tone. Mr. Jun, I'm done looking. You can pay now. Hearing this, the receptionist who had just been left to deal with the situation lit up, a bright smile spreading across her face as she quickly added, Right away, Ms. Zhu. Just give me a moment. On the other hand, the receptionist who had been pushed aside stood watching this scene, her heart aching. She muttered to herself with a sigh. The guaranteed paying customer goes to her, while a poor guy who probably won't even swipe his card ends up with me. It's so unfair. Not wanting to lose, she quickly jumped into the conversation. Moving closer to Zhu Wanting, her voice sweet as sugar, she said, Your taste is really impeccable, Ms. Zhu. This bag is such a perfect match for your style, unlike some other customers who choose things that don't quite fit. Oh, and this jewelry set would go perfectly with the bag you just picked. Would you like to try it on? It would look amazing on you, though it's a bit pricey. Altogether, it's about 100,000. While the two of them were happily showcasing their financial status, Yuan Chen paid them no attention. He calmly turned to Feng Minhu, speaking in a soft but firm tone. Minhu, don't feel like you have to spend money on me. Without hesitation, Feng Minhu pointed to another bag and said, I think this one's not bad either. It's a younger style. Your sister would probably like it. The saleswoman overheard and immediately looked down on them, saying with a sneer, The two of these together are over 50,000. That's really expensive. Meanwhile, the older man overheard the 100,000 price tag and his mind started to spin. He was fuming, thinking to himself, what a wasteful bunch. I was planning on just getting a 20,000 bag to sell things, and now they're trying to get me to buy an entire 100,000 set. Is this woman trying to bleed me dry? But just as he turned around, he saw Zhu Wanting's eyes sparkling gently as she whispered, Swipe your card. You show off your boyfriend power. The old man glanced over at Yuan Chen and noticed that he was still calmly observing everything. Suddenly, he felt the pressure double. Inside, he was screaming, 10,000 yuan is supposed to be the power of a boyfriend. This is draining the life out of me. There's not even enough in my card to swipe. Just then, a voice boomed like thunder, catching everyone's attention. I'll take both of these bags, and I'll also take the accessories that the girl over there just showed me. Not only was the old man stunned, but Zhu Wanting was also caught off guard. Even Feng Minhui looked at him with a puzzled expression. The receptionist, who had been looking down on him earlier, nearly fainted. The only thought left in her mind was, what? He's taking the accessories too. Wasn't he supposed to be poor? The receptionist, who had been forced to deal with cheap customers earlier, now had her icy face break into a bright smile as if she had just won the lottery. Her hands were shaking as she typed in the total, her voice filled with excitement. Mr. Yuan, the 2 bags and the accessories come to a total of 130,000 yuan. Hearing this, Yuan Chen's lips curled into an amused smile, thinking to himself, this is too interesting. I get cash back after buying everything. What a bargain. You casually pulled out a very ordinary card, speaking as if it were nothing. Here, swipe the card. The receptionist was thrilled, bowing respectfully. Yes, I'll pack it up for you right away. Inside, she was cheering. She thought she was doing this for free, but here she was handling a sale worth 130,000. She couldn't believe this guy was even more generous than before. Yuan Chen was so furious, she nearly ground her teeth. Her face turned bright red, as if it were about to catch fire. Finally, she couldn't hold it in any longer and shouted, "Yuan Chen, didn't your family go bankrupt? Where did you get the money to buy all this?" The old man standing behind quickly chimed in, his voice full of suspicion and mockery. "I bet you didn't borrow that money, did you?" Yuan Chen let out a cold laugh, his tone casual but razor sharp. "You can think whatever you want, but what about you?" He turned to the old man and said indifferently, "You don't seem like you're lacking money either. Maybe you should buy another bag for Zhu Wanting. It's only 20,000 or so. Nothing for someone like you, right?" The old man heard this and his face immediately turned sour, unable to say a word. But Yuan Chen didn't stop there. He added more fuel to the fire. "Men need more than just style. They have to be generous too. Your A8 must have cost at least 600 to 700,000, right? This small amount of money probably isn't even a big deal for you, huh?" Zhu Wanting immediately flipped her attitude and turned to urge the old man, her voice full of provocation. "John, come on, show her what a real boyfriend can do. Don't let this guy walk all over you." The old man felt like his head was going to explode. Inside, he was screaming, "What am I supposed to show off? I'm still paying off the A8. How can I compete with this kid?" But how could he tell Wanting that? It was so frustrating. This young guy was making his blood boil, and he didn't know how to handle it. So he decided to fake being busy, pulling out his phone and putting on an act. Hold on, I need to take this call," he said, quickly turning around and walking off like someone was chasing him. Zhu Wanting stood there frozen for a few seconds, staring at his back. Unable to hold herself back, she shouted, "Jun, why are you?" But the old man quickly disappeared through the door, showing off his acting skills, shouting into the phone as he walked. "Who gave you the right to make decisions? Didn't I tell you already? This project, worth a few 100,000, can't be finalized without me." Zhu Wanting gritted her teeth in anger, but didn't forget to turn her frustration onto Yuan Chen. "Yuan Chen, take care of your own problems." Watching the couple walk away in humiliation and seeing the negative emotions flashing across the system display, Yuan Chen thought to himself, "Oh, so they reached their goal that easily? Was it really that simple? Oh well, I won't bother arguing with them. As long as the task is done, that's all that matters." Then Yuan Chen handed the designer bag to Feng Minhui with a smile. "Minhui, take this. It's a gift for you." She was caught off guard, immediately waving her hands to refuse. "No, Yuan Chen, this is too valuable." Yuan Chen firmly pushed the bag into her hands, then casually grabbed another one from the receptionist. He smiled and said, "It's just a bag. Don't worry about it. Besides, after hanging out with me, those two awful people kept making fun of you. I feel embarrassed for you. Think of it as my apology. Please take it." Feng Binhui hesitated for a moment, but unable to resist Yuan Chen's enthusiasm, finally accepted the gift with a shy smile. "Well, okay then. Thank you." Yuan Chen smiled brightly, but he wasn't done yet. He pulled out a few more items and placed them in front of her. "Don't thank me too soon, there's more. All of these are for you." Feng Binhui blinked in surprise and asked, "What? Aren't these for your little sister?" Yuan Chen shrugged casually and replied, "I'm not sure if she'll like them, but I'm pretty sure you'll like this bag." Even though he said that, he was thinking to himself, "No way. Did she seriously think I bought these for that little devil, Yuan Xuan? If she finds out, she'll totally scold me for wasting money and probably tell our parents. These bags were always meant for you. Just take them already. Once you do, I'll get my refund tonight." Feng Binhui stepped back slightly torn. One bag already seemed like too much, and now there was an entire set. Wouldn't he think she was greedy? No, I can't let him think that. Before she could finish her thought, Yuan Chen quickly grabbed her hand. "It's okay. This is just the beginning. We still have plenty of time, so take it. If you turn me down again, I'll be heartbroken." In the end, Feng Minhui couldn't say no anymore and reluctantly accepted the gift. At that moment, a sweet notification rang out from the system. "Congratulations, Master, on completing the task. You have earned a total of 15 points for negative emotions. This task will refund 3 times the amount spent, plus an additional reward for spending money on someone of the opposite gender, bringing your total refund to 6 times the amount. Your savings account with the card ending in 98 received 78,600 yuan at 9 o'clock p.m. on May 11. Your current balance is 786,356 yuan." Yuan Chen still held Feng Minhui's hand, his heart silently making a resolution. Right now, Minhui was his ATM, and he needed to protect him well. He couldn't let what happened with the favorite level earlier repeat itself. It was already late for Minhui to head back to school. but he secretly thought to himself that although he really wanted to play poker, this kind of thing could be rushed. It was better to just let things happen naturally. Fang Binhu, hearing Yuan Chen's sincere words, felt a sudden stir in his heart. Yuan Chen was completely different from Lai Zhanpeng. He hadn't mentioned anything about going to the bar, and if he had, Minhui realized he probably would have wanted to go too. Not long after, Yuan Chen finally made his way back to the boys' dorm. But before he could even step into his room, he overheard a group of young guys chatting loudly in the hallway, their voices full of excitement, as if they had just won the lottery. Zhanpeng, I really admire you. You're always so quiet and low-key, but turns out you've already won the heart of the class beauty. Meanwhile, we're still all single. You beat us to the punch. You have to treat us to a meal, and not just any meal. It has to be a fancy one. Hearing this, Lai Zhanpeng quickly shot a glance at Yuan Chen and said, when the time comes, let's invite the whole class so it's more fun. The more the merrier. Yuan Chen didn't bother to respond. He just quietly walked into the dorm. As soon as he opened the door to his room, he was met by the sight of one of his roommates sitting with a sour look on his face. It was clear that he had also overheard the whole scene. Did you hear that? That bastard Lai Zhanpeng went to the movies with a class beauty just once, and now he's acting like he's the hottest thing around. He's clearly trying to show off and rub it in front of us in room 503. Yuan Chen gave him a light pat on the shoulder, letting out a small, humorless laugh. He answered calmly, he won't be flying high for long. Fang Minhu won't stay with him. Stop acting so tough. I saw Fang Minhui at the movies with him last night, and who knows if they did anything else. Plus, didn't she turn you down for a date today? Doesn't that prove she's really chosen Lai Zhanpeng? Yuan Chen didn't feel like arguing. He just shrugged and pulled out his phone to check his account balance. Watching the numbers dance on the screen, he thought to himself, it's only been a few days and money is pouring into my account. Maybe I should go home and check things out. Just then, a man saw Yuan Chen walk in and casually said, Sao Yuan, you're back. This man was Yuan Chen's uncle, Yuan Yaodi. Yuan Chen stepped inside, his voice cold as he replied, hello, uncle. Yuan Chen's dad was sitting there as well, and upon hearing the exchange, he spoke up. Everyone's talking, you should go to your room. Your uncle and I need to discuss something. Yuan Chen glanced over but didn't say anything, turning and walking straight to his room. But just as he shut the door, his father's voice carried from the living room. Brother, I understand your difficulties, but please give me a little more time. The money I owe you is almost ready to be paid, and I'll send part of it over as soon as I can. Hearing this, Yuan Yandi immediately frowned and protested, Brother, a partial payment won't be enough. I've been juggling money these past few days. I need the full amount, all at once to cover everything. Outside, when his mother heard this, she couldn't hold back any longer and shouted, Yuan Yaodi, no one behaves like you do. Back when you didn't even have money to wash your car, who was it that lent you 300,000? After lending it to you, have I ever asked for it back? And now, we only owe you 200,000 and you've come to ask for it back 3 or 4 times already. What's your problem? Mr. Yuan quickly spoke up to calm things down. Stop, just stop. Everyone has their own difficulties. But Mrs. Yuan had reached her limit and snapped back. What difficulties are you talking about? I've already asked your wife. In the past 2 days, you haven't even tried to raise any money. Yuan Yaodi was blatantly exposed, but he didn't flinch, raising his hand and coldly stating it's only natural to pay back a debt. It's a shame we're even family, and yet we can't live in peace. If it were anyone else, you'd see what it really means to collect a debt. Oh, are you planning to use violence to get the money back now? My God, your Yuan family really is full of wolves with white eyes. What was the point of us treating you well before? Mr. Yuan tugged at his hair, then suddenly had an idea. He turned to Mrs. Yuan and said, Look, let's be realistic. There are still some jewelry pieces in the room, right? Go in, take a few, and sell them. When we have money again, we'll buy some more for you. Mrs. Yuan's blood boiled as soon as she heard this, and she immediately snapped, Stop it. Buy what? First, pay off all the debts in this house, then we'll talk about buying anything. At that moment, the system of Yuan Chen suddenly came to life with a mechanical voice that somehow sounded like heavenly music. A perfect life should not carry debt. This is a time-limited mission to pay off debt for your family or yourself. The reward for completing the mission is that the amount paid off will be doubled for the owner. Special offer. The first payment of 200,000 yuan will earn you 1 million yuan, exclusively for use on cars. Yuan Chen stared at the notification in front of him for a few seconds, completely frozen. Then his eyes lit up, glowing brightly like headlights. This mission came at the perfect time. He had planned to help his family reduce their debt, and now there was even a profit involved. Outside, Mrs. Yuan sighed as she took out her jewelry box, her voice full of regret. All the jewelry your dad gave me over the years is in here. No matter how tough things got, I couldn't bear to sell any of it, but it's only worth a few tens of thousands. I guess we'll let him take it for now. By the way, I think we lost 2 of the gold rings during the move. When Yuan Chen heard this, he felt a pang of guilt. His face turned slightly red, and he felt a bit ashamed. Back in his first year, when he didn't have enough money to buy a bag for Yuan Ting, he had secretly sold 2 of his mother's gold rings. He couldn't deny it. He had been an ungrateful son back then. With that thought, he took a deep breath, pushed open the door, and boldly declared, "Dad, Mom, I have money." Mr. Yuan looked up at him, his face full of frustration. Now's not the time for jokes. Mrs. Yuan frowned too, her voice tired. You see the situation at home, right? That little bit of money you have left. You still need it to pay for your meal card, don't you? Stop playing around. This isn't a joke. Listen to your father. Did you hear the notification? It's a payment alert. Hearing this, Mr. Yuan immediately pulled out his phone. As soon as he opened it, his eyes widened and he exclaimed, 200,000 yuan. Mr. Yuan stared in shock, speechless. Kid, where did you get all this money? I've gotten a fair amount of money from you and Mom in the past. The son thought I invested it in cryptocurrency with a friend. He told me not to touch it, saying it had great potential. Just 2 days ago, I cashed it out into real money. He figured this explanation would pass, since he had indeed received quite a bit of pocket money before. Mrs. Yuan's face lit up with excitement as if she had struck gold. Happily, she told everyone, like this video to support us. Good job, son. Thanks to you, we've just solved a huge problem for the family. Mr. Yuan didn't waste any time. He immediately reminded everyone, all right, let's pay up first and get that bastard out of here. Yuan Yao Di, we've paid off all the debt, so take the money and get out. From now on, it's best if our 2 families don't have any more dealings with each other. Press the button and leave. Yuan Yao Di stared at the money in his account, frozen in shock. He stood there stiffly, stammering as he looked at Mrs. Yuan with a weak voice. Huh, sister-in-law, what? What is this? Don't you understand? I told you get out now. Without saying another word, Mr. Yuan and Mrs. Yuan teamed up and physically kicked him out the door. Yuan Yao Di scrambled to get up, staring back at the house, his mind racing. But his cousin still owed almost 100 million. How could they have paid off the debt so quickly? Does this mean his cousin's new business venture has started making money? If that's the case, doesn't that mean he's about to hit it big? Damn it, after what I did today, how am I ever going to show my face again? I'm such an idiot. Why didn't I go and demand payment like that? Inside the house, the system continued to announce a message that was incredibly pleasant to hear for Yuan Chen. Check shows the owner has completed the first debt repayment goal. The system will immediately issue a bonus. Your savings account ending in 98 just received 400,000 yuan at 11:39 a.m. on May 12th. Current balance, 116,356 yuan. Your savings account ending in 98 just received 1 million yuan at 11:39 a.m. on May 12th. Current balance, 216,356 yuan. Yuan Chen looked at the account balance and couldn't help but smile with satisfaction. Aside from the money set aside to buy a car, his personal account now had over 1 million yuan. He hadn't expected that coming home would not only solve his parents' worries, but also bring such a big windfall. He still needed a lot more money to fully clear the family's debts. Even with 1 million yuan in hand, giving it all to his dad wouldn't really solve anything. The most sensible thing to do now was to use this money to make even more. Maybe giving his dad an extra 20,000 yuan would be just right. Dad, actually, I still have part of the money left, about 20,000 yuan. Do you need it urgently? Mrs. Yuan quickly waved her hand and shook her head. You should keep it for now. The other debts aren't urgent at the moment. But just then, Mr. Yuan suddenly blushed and hesitated before speaking up. Wait a minute. Here's the translated text. Yuan Chen, give your dad 50,000 first. Yuan Chen almost laughed when he saw the way his dad was acting. That's right, Dad. This is how it should feel. His dad looked just like he did when he used to ask his own father for money. The moods were flawless. After that, Yuan Chen stood waiting outside Like Xiao's door for a while. As soon as she appeared, he smiled and greeted her. Teacher, you're back. Like Xiao smiled back gently when she saw him. That's right. Since there were no classes in the afternoon, she was able to come home early. Seeing this, Yuan Chen bent down, slightly grinning as he suggested, Are you free tonight? I'd like to treat you to a meal. You invited me last time, so it's my turn to invite you. Before he could finish, a wave of cold air suddenly hit him from behind. Without even needing to turn around, Yuan Chen could feel a sharp gaze flash at him. Of course, it was her, Lai Meng, Like Xiao's terrifying younger sister. Every hair on his body stood on end, and he felt a chill run down his spine. He couldn't believe it. Like Xiao's sister was truly his nemesis. He shouldn't get involved with her. Definitely shouldn't. These two sisters were complete opposites. The older one was gentle and graceful, while the younger one was fierce and tough, always looking at him like he was a wanted criminal. Lai Meng narrowed her eyes and stared at Yuan Chen, her gaze sharp as a knife, clearly scrutinizing every move he made. Yuan Chen immediately turned and ran, quickly saying, teacher, I just remembered I have something to take care of at school. I might be busy tonight, so let's reschedule the dinner. I'll go ahead now. Lai Meng watched him leave, then turned to Lai Xiao with a serious face. Did you see that? I told you that kid had ulterior motives. Lai Xiao just smiled and shook her head. Maybe he just wants to treat us to a meal, and even if he does have other intentions, I wouldn't agree anyway. As Yuan Chen ran, he thought to himself, it's so hot. Lai Meng's pressure is really overwhelming. Back then, whenever I drove with the air conditioning on or went shopping with Zhu Wanting, it was so relaxing and enjoyable. I still remember it fondly. Wait, I've got some personal money set aside to buy a car and haven't used it yet. Am I being disrespectful to the system? He quickly sent a message to Feng Minhu. Are you free this afternoon? Want to go car shopping with me? Feng Minhu replied almost immediately. Sure, I'm free this afternoon. On the other side, Feng Minhu's roommate overheard some gossip and eagerly teased her. Well, you two are already a couple, even picking out a car together. At this rate, ha ha ha. Be honest, are you coming back to the dorm tonight? Come on, tell me stop playing around. We're not even dating yet. Minhui is so lucky. She landed a golden turtle, rich, handsome, and even a gentleman. Yuan Chen's really hit the jackpot. As soon as she finished, the girl playfully grabbed Minhu's arms, making her smile. Stop it. An hour later, at a top 4S car dealership. Hello, may I help you too? Are you here to look at cars? Which model are you interested in? But the seller froze as soon as he walked out. Minhu, what are you doing here? Feng Minhui turned around, surprised, and responded. Oh, Qin? Her mind quickly raced. Qin Yang, a senior who had once pursued her back in high school. What was he doing here? Qin Yang quickly regained his composure and walked over to them, eyeing them with curiosity. Minhui, is this Yuan Chen? Before he could finish his sentence, Feng Minhu casually stepped forward to introduce them. I'm just her classmate, Yuan Chen. Qin Yang nodded and gave a slightly awkward smile. I see. Nice to meet you. So, are you two here to look at cars? What kind of model are you interested in? Without hesitation, Yuan Chen pointed to a car next to them and replied straightforwardly. I'm looking to check out the M9 model. After hearing this, Qin Yang's gaze briefly flashed with contempt, but he still smiled warmly. The car exhibition is over there. Feel free to look around. You can even sit in the cars and try them out. But in his mind, he was trashing Yuan Chen without mercy. The lowest model costs at least 500,000, and with all the fees, it's over 600,000. Look at this kid, dressed so casually. He's clearly someone who likes to act rich but has no money. Is he pretending to check out cars just to impress a girl? Ha! Minhui still looks as beautiful as ever. No wonder she was the goddess I used to chase after. But I'm different now. I make over 10,000 a month as a top sales rep, driving a Honda worth 200,000 yuan to work. Girls these days are so practical. Someone like me is the best choice for them. As he was thinking this, he walked over to Feng Minhu, trying to act casual. Minhu, long time no see. If you're free tonight, how about we grab a meal and catch up? Feng Minhui hesitated for a moment, then gently responded, Sorry, senior, I have plans tonight. I'm not free. Before Qin Yang could feel disappointed, Yuan Chen's calm voice interrupted, Hey, is it possible to arrange a test drive? Qin Yang's face immediately darkened. I'm trying to flirt here, and this kid interrupts. What's he even doing, asking for a test drive when he can't even afford a car? Is he wasting my time? Sorry, the test drive cars are all out with the boss right now, so we can't do it today. When Yuan Chen heard this, he gave a faint smile. He wasn't someone who knew nothing about cars. As soon as he walked in, he had already noticed the M9 test drive model parked right inside the store. Not wanting to argue with this type of person, Yuan Chen immediately turned around and said loudly, Please arrange for another sales associate to assist me. I want to test drive the car right now. Less than 3 seconds later, a young and beautiful woman walked out, greeting him with a professional smile. Hello, my name is Chen Na. I'm a sales consultant here. How can I assist you today? Yuan Chen looked at her and couldn't help but let out a soft sound of surprise. Nearby, another employee saw this and raised an eyebrow, asking Qin Yang, isn't that the customer you were supposed to help? Why did you let Chen Na take over? Qin Yang crossed his arms and snorted, his tone dripping with disdain. I couldn't be bothered. Let Chen Na handle it for free. Some student comes in and says he wants to buy an M9 and even asks for a test drive. Isn't that just bragging? The colleague beside him raised an eyebrow, looking at him with confusion. What if he actually buys it? Don't regret it later. Qin Yang sneered and shrugged dismissively. Don't kid me. Look at how he's dressed, clearly poor, but trying to pretend to impress a pretty girl. I've seen a lot of people like him. Meanwhile, Chen now was still enthusiastically introducing the car. Sir, this model is designed with an intelligent driving seat system and features the 192-line laser radar. It can drive completely on its own. How does that sound? Yuan Chen listened carefully and nodded, evaluating it. Very professional. Your looks and demeanor are no worse than Feng Minhu's. No wonder you're handling this. But in the car industry lately, you probably heard quite a bit about how female sales associates don't have as much success closing deals with male customers. But just then, Chen Na's sweet voice brought him back to reality. Have you figured out the car configuration? What's your budget? Yuan Chen replied, do you have a car available? I want to pick it up today. Immediately, Chen Na's eyes lit up like she had just stumbled upon a treasure. A huge question mark popped up in her mind. Normally, customers at this dealership would need to look at a few cars before making a decision, but this guy had just finished the test drive and was ready to buy without even asking the price. If he was really serious about buying, why did Qin Yang more the chance to handle him earlier? After checking the system, she hesitantly said, sorry, we don't have any cars in stock right now. But at another branch, a customer had to cancel their order due to financial issues. If you're interested, we can have it transferred here within a week. Yuan Chen nodded. That works. I'll make a deposit today. Even Shen Na couldn't hide her surprise. She kept wondering the car cost at least 600,000 and he's ready to buy right away. Is this some sort of angel customer or does he have some other plan? Still, she remained professional, smiling as she said, feel free to rest inside for a bit. A deposit of 50,000 is enough and I'll get the contract right now. Meanwhile, Qin Yang was still waiting to see the drama he expected to unfold. As soon as Chen Na came back, he raised his chin and asked, so, what happened? Did that guy actually buy the car? Chen Na had just sat down when she slowly replied, I've already bought it. Another colleague immediately widened her eyes and exclaimed, what? You bought it already? That fast? Qin Yang couldn't believe it. He crossed his arms and scoffed, ha ha, no way. That kid is just pretending. When it comes time to pay, he'll definitely come up with some excuse and back out. This store is full of people like that. The staff member next to him nodded in agreement, saying, yeah, exactly. I've been selling cars for years, and I've never seen anyone decide to buy that quickly. But Chen Na simply smiled and said, I told you, Mr. Yuan has already bought the car, and he's ready to pay for it right now. This time, the entire staff in the store went silent, stunned. How could they have let such a big sale slip through their fingers? This was a huge loss for them. After completing the paperwork, Chen Na flashed a bright, friendly smile at Yuan Chen and said, Mr. Yuan, if you have any issues with the car in the future, feel free to contact me anytime. Oh, by the way, are you going anywhere later? Do you need me to call a cab for you? Feng Ganhui stepped up, taking Yuan Chen's arm. Her voice was sweet, but there was a hidden edge to it as she said, no, we're good. We'll call a ride ourselves. Chen Na noticed her attitude and immediately felt uneasy, thinking to herself, I've been too enthusiastic with the customer service. I probably make his girlfriend upset. This isn't good. All right, I won't walk you out any further. Yuan Chen was scrolling through his phone when he asked, Hui, do you want to go eat now? Feng Binhui suddenly made a confused sound. Yuan Chen quickly sensed the unusual atmosphere. He tilted his head, squinted, and asked, Feng Binhu, are you upset? Are you jealous? She immediately blushed, turned away, and quickly responded like a machine, no. Yuan Chen smirked, teasing her on purpose. Still denying it, your face clearly shows something's up. It's nothing, really. Me and her, we're just a salesperson and a customer, nothing more. Who knows? She replied, it looks like you two are having such a good time. Feng Minhui immediately blinked and mumbled, but you already bought me 2 bags yesterday. Although she said this out loud and inside, she felt both a little hopeful and worried. Letting Yuan Chen spend money like this didn't feel quite right. What if he thought she was just using him? Yuan Chen smiled lightly, his tone completely casual. It's fine, girls having lots of bags is normal. After all, there are 7 days in a week, so it's good if you don't repeat bags each day. But in my mind, it's different. Spending money on a girl will pay off 3 times over. The more she buys, the more I earn. He encouraged her to buy more, and then they went into a cafe. Yuan Chen handed Feng Minhu the menu and asked with a smile, Hui, do you want hot or cold drinks today? Hearing this, Feng Minhu froze up. Her mind quickly ran through what he'd said and then suddenly realized what was going on. Wait, he's asking if I want hot or cold to see if I'm on my period. He wants... Immediately, her face turned bright red, like a ripe tomato, and her voice became hesitant. Ah, cold, cold, please. On his side, Yuan Chen remained completely oblivious, but when he saw the shy expression on her face, he couldn't help but blush too, thinking to himself, wait, what's with that look? Where's my mind going? But it's been 2 months since I last saw Yuan Ting. With all this buildup, maybe it's time to find a way to release some of that energy. At the shopping mall, they had officially completed an epic shopping spree. The results: a wristwatch for 12,800 yuan, a bracelet for 20,800 yuan, a handbag for 5,500 yuan, totaling a hefty 39,100 yuan. Fang Minhu's interest level in Yuan Chen also officially jumped to 81 points. She felt a bit shy of her heart racing. Yuan Chen was treating her so well, it almost felt unreal. In just one evening, he had spent over 80,000 yuan on her, and in just 2 days, that total had almost reached 140,000 yuan. At that moment, a notification from Yuan Chen's bank pinged on his phone. Savings account. Your card ending in 98 has received 252,000 yuan at 11:39 a.m. on May 12th. Current balance 2,254,256 yuan. Yuan Chen thought to himself, the system of the rich is no joke. The double refund is definitely real. Earlier, he had given his dad 50,000 yuan for a car, another 50,000 for a ride, and in no time, he made that back. Even though the current balance included the car payment, after subtracting nearly 600,000 yuan, he still had over 1.6 million yuan left to spend. Thinking this, he turned to Feng Minhui and said, Hui, don't go back to the dorm tonight. She immediately blushed and shyly nodded when she heard that. Aha! Half an hour later, at some fancy hotel, room 808, Yuan Chen was leisurely taking a shower, enjoying the steam rising around him, and relaxing his muscles. Feng Minhui was lying on the bed, thinking to herself, Chen Ling just texted me asking why I'm not back at the dorm. How should I reply? Should I just tell her I'm with Yuan Chen? That would be so awkward. She scratched her head, still unable to come up with a good response when the bathroom door opened. Yuan Chen stepped out, drying his hair. Hui, are you ready? She flopped back onto the bed, feeling completely out of her element, but secretly thinking, sorry, Ling, he's really done so much for me already. Tonight, I'm not coming back. If anyone asks, just say I'm visiting family, okay? Then, as the couple took a break from their passionate scene, Feng Minhui thought to herself, this really isn't as scary as Chen Ling made it out to be. As for Yuan Chen, he couldn't believe how much his skills had slipped. He never imagined Hui would be. It felt great, but also exhausting. He realized he hadn't been practicing enough lately. 2 months without it, and now he was back to square one. And yet she was climbing onto him, shaking him, and he was suddenly scared. Hui, can you wait a little longer while I rest? The next morning in the dormitory, Yuan Chen stretched and silently thought to himself, the rich guy's system even offers refunds when paying off debts. He still owed a total of 52,000 from app loans and credit cards, so he decided to pay that off first. There was also the 100,000 from Lai Yuheng. When his family went bankrupt, all his so-called friends from before avoided him, except for Lai Yuheng. Without saying a word, Lai Yuheng gave him money to help out. He was determined to pay it back. At that moment, one of his roommates came over, stretched, and asked, Hey bro, you didn't come back last night? Where'd you go? Oh, and have you checked the class group chat? Are you coming to the gathering with the others this afternoon? Yuan Chen lazily opened the group chat to take a look. The weather was great this weekend, so someone suggested they all go out and hang out. Oh my god, did Brother Peng go to pick up a car? A luxury one, probably over 300,000. Brother Peng is really rich. Wow, even if we graduate in 10 years, we might not have enough to buy a car like that. By the way, is the female salesperson at the 4S showroom producing cars herself or what? I suggest we have a fun night out today. That dog Lai Zhanpeng bought a car. I suspect he had the class rep arrange the gathering just to show off. It's so disgusting, but if I don't go, I'll lose 200 yuan from the class fund. Ugh, so annoying. This guy Lai Zhanpeng is really pretending to be all cute. You guys go ahead, I'm not joining. Just as you finish saying that, your phone dinged with a new message from a familiar name. Yuan Chen, long time, no see. Come over for dinner tonight, relax a bit. Right then, the system suddenly beeped with a new notification. Mission. A perfect life requires not only the affection of the opposite sex, but also the support of a career. This is a time-limited mission. The owner will receive 1 million in investment funds to use within 1 week. The goal is to invest all 1 million. Mission reward. Any profit earned from business activities will be reimbursed at double the amount. Yuan Chen read the mission and a smile spread across their face, full of interest. Oh, a career mission this time. Perfect timing. I've been thinking that I need a solid source of income in my account for all that extra money. Lai Yuheng's caustic bar is under renovation, so maybe this is the perfect opportunity to invest in his place. They glanced back at Lai Yuheng's message and quickly typed a reply. Send me the location. I'll hang out with you tonight. In the spacious, luxurious VIP room, a group of young people were chatting. Ling Guangyao, with his arm around a curvy girl, lifted his chin and said, "So, who's young Master Lai still waiting for? I'm about to starve here. Didn't all the important people already arrive? This guy here is Si Hai Ji, who's no stranger to these kinds of extravagant parties." Zhao Zhengang sat back comfortably in his chair and added, "Exactly. Important people don't show up late." Lai Yuheng, holding a glass of wine and gently swirling it, spoke in a calm tone. "What's the rush? There's fruit and snacks on the table, so help yourself. Yuan Chen's on his way." As soon as Lin Guangyao heard that, he jumped up like a spring, clearly irritated. "Yuan Chen, didn't his family go bankrupt? He's not on our level anymore. Why are we bothering to invite him?" Lai Yuheng smiled and replied, "I'm treating tonight. No one's making you pay, so why complain? Yuan Chen is my childhood friend. You can't just judge him like that." "Since young Master Lai has spoken, I guess we'll wait," Lin Guangyao grumbled. A girl dressed provocatively clung to Guangyao, playfully whining, "Yao, you're so mean. Not wanting to be my boyfriend, but every time we meet, you're always touching me." Lin Guangyao, clearly caught off guard, cleared his throat and quickly tried to change the subject. He turned to Si Hai Ji and asked, "Hey, isn't your girlfriend supposed to be here tonight? Why hasn't she shown up yet?" Si Hai Ji smiled with his eyes squinted, took a sip of his drink, and replied slowly, "She's on her way, but it's rush hour, so she's stuck in traffic. She should be here in about 10 minutes. Hearing this, Lin Guangyao thought to himself, "My cousins always relied on my family. If it weren't for me, he'd never get invited to gatherings like this. I don't even know what kind of luck he has to end up with such a perfect girlfriend, especially with that tight-fitting dress and white shirt. Damn, what man could resist? Then again, my cousin's not married yet, so maybe I still have a chance." At that moment, the door to the room opened, and Yuan Chen walked in with a big, bright smile. "Sorry to keep you all waiting." Lai Yuheng saw him arrive and smiled, asking, "Why are you so late?" Yuan Chen sighed, shaking his head. "The traffic was terrible. I'm starting to think the driver was taking detours just to find more traffic jams." Lai Yuheng laughed and teased, "Ha ha, is there really a driver that unethical? You should complain." On the other side, Lin Guangyao couldn't help but sneer internally. Taking a taxi? Everyone here drove their own fancy cars. No wonder he got stuck in traffic. He then purposely made a jab. "Looks like you're the lucky one. Everyone else drove themselves here. You still had to call a driver." At that moment, the door to the room opened and a beautiful, stunning woman walked in. Her voice was soft but carried a hint of apology. "Sorry I'm late. There was a traffic jam during rush hour." Si Hai Ji immediately stood up, his face slightly flushed with excitement. He quickly introduced her. "This is Chen Na, my girlfriend. She works as a saleswoman at the Forest showroom. If any of you need a car, just ask her." After saying this, he felt a rush of pride, thinking to himself, "So what if some of you have more money than me? My girlfriend is more beautiful than all of you." Meanwhile, as Chetna walked in, she spotted Yuan Chen. She was a bit surprised and thought to herself, "Wait, isn't that Mr. Yuan? He was just here yesterday buying a car, but he didn't say hello. Well, I guess I'll just treat this as our first time meeting." With that thought, she quickly regained her composure, smiled, walked over to Si Hai Ji. 40 minutes later, Lai Yuheng stood up and said, "Has everyone eaten enough? I got something to talk about. The bar I'm opening is almost finished, and I want to make it really impressive. Everyone here is a good friend of mine, so I want to invite you all to invest together and make some money. The total investment will be around 2.4 million yuan, and I'll keep 30% of the shares, meaning I'll invest 700,000. How does everyone feel?" As soon as Lai Yuheng finished speaking, the room immediately fell into a heavy silence. Lin Guangyao crossed his arms and leaned back in his chair, a smirk of contempt playing on his lips. The Lai family makes billions every year, and now they're begging for a $700,000 investment? It was ridiculous. He was sure that previous investments had failed, which is why his father had cut off the funding. Si Haiji thought to himself, 700,000? If I wanted to save up that much, I'd probably have to starve myself for 2 years. Zhao Zhengang clicked his tongue, feeling a little irritated. If you're going to eat out, just eat. Why bring up an investment? It really doesn't suit young Master Lai at all. The others in the room were all silent as well, each of them lost in their own thoughts. Speaking up now would be like jumping straight into a fire. Lai Yuheng scanned the room, his gaze slowly turning cold. Normally, these people would cling to him when it was time to eat and drink, never refusing an invitation. They'd lend him money without hesitation. But now, When he only needed a little support, they all went silent. What a useless bunch. Feeling a twinge of frustration, Lai Yu-hang said, "What's going on? Full for eating and suddenly mute? Say something." Finally, Lin Guangyao pretended to hesitate before speaking up. "Young Master Lai, I don't think it's necessary to raise capital right now. If you just need a little cash to keep things going, everyone can pitch in a few tens of thousands to get the place open. Later, when you made your money back, you can pay us back." That's right. Anyway, we're already halfway there. Adding shares would definitely be unfair to him. If we do that later on, he won't have to worry about sharing any money he earns, right, everyone? The person beside him thought to himself, everyone can see Lai's level of investment. His Hot Pot KTV place didn't turn out well, and now he's opening a quiet bar, which is just throwing money into the ocean. This guy has money and can borrow more if needed, so why pull everyone else in? Damn it. We all rely on our families, and we can barely cover our pocket money. Lai Yu-hang narrowed his eyes, feeling a chill rise in his chest. He had wanted to bring everyone together to make money, but now it felt like he was just borrowing money. That wasn't necessary at all. He had really overestimated these so-called brothers, especially Lin Guangyao. The guy couldn't do anything right. He had clearly mentioned investing in shares, but Lin kept talking about borrowing money. Then he put his glass down, his tone losing the earlier enthusiasm. Let's put the borrowing aside for now. If no one's interested in investing, then forget it. Nothing's happened. Lin Guangyao immediately smiled and raised his glass. That's more like it, Lai. Talking about money just kills the mood. Everyone, let's eat and drink. Let's keep going. Yuan Chen quietly observed everything. These people disappeared when I went bankrupt. Lai Yu-hang still thinks he can count on them. They're all useless, always relying on their families to spend money. Lai Yu-hang gave a cold smile and said, "You all keep going, I'll leave first." At that moment, Yuan Chen's voice broke the silence. "What if I invest this 700,000? The room immediately fell silent. All eyes turned toward Yuan Chen. Lin Guangyao stared at him for a few seconds before suddenly bursting into wild laughter. "Ha ha, Yuan Chen, are you kidding? We've all known you for a long time. Do you really think a few words from you will make us believe you? Seriously, there's a limit to bragging. Hey, maybe you should go wash your face in the bathroom to wake up. Right now, young Master Lai is upset, so stop messing around." Sihai Ji took a sip of his drink, crossed his arms, and looked at Yuan Chen, shaking his head as if he was the wise one. "Look, man, I'm a few years older than you and have been through more than you. There are many things you have to know your limits on. You get that. But right now, the issue isn't about knowing your limits. It's about shameless bragging." Lin Guangyao quickly joined in, mocking him. "Exactly, Yuan Chen. You don't even know how you got here, do you? Want me to pay for a ride home for you?" The group burst into laughter, their gazes toward Yuan Chen full of disdain. Meanwhile, Chedne sat quietly beside them, observing. She furrowed her brows, thinking to herself, Yuan said he wanted to invest 30% of the shares. Why does everyone keep thinking he's bluffing? Yesterday, he just bought a $600,000 car. Someone with that much money, why would investing $700,000 be so hard to believe? I want to help Yuan, but if I step in now, it might just make things more complicated. What should I do? At that moment, Yuan Chen remained calm, as if nothing was happening, not even bothering to pay attention to the people mocking him. Lai Yu-hang, the $700,000 has already been transferred. You can check it. Lai Yu-hang opened his phone and the bank notification popped up clearly. Yuan Chen, you. His hand shook as he read the message. Bank of Industry and Commerce, your card ending in 5854 has received $700,000 at 7:42 p.m. on May 13. Seeing his reaction, Lin Guangyao raised an eyebrow and asked curiously, Lai, what's going on? You look like you've seen a ghost. Lai Yu-hang didn't answer. He simply handed his phone to Lin Guangyao to see for himself. He looked at the screen and was immediately shocked, his mouth falling open. What the heck is this? Why are there so many zeros in Yuan Chen's transfer? He swallowed and kept counting in his head. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's really 700,000. Shen Nao was also startled. In just a moment, everything had completely changed. They had been mocking him earlier, and now someone might be feeling a little weak soon. Young Master Lin, what's going on? Lin Guangyao was trembling, quickly making up an excuse to leave. There's something at home. I can't drink with everyone anymore. Let's do it another time. Sihai Ji furrowed his brows and asked, What do you mean? Cousin, what's really going on? Lin Guangyao snapped, Don't ask anymore. You should go too. Your aunt and uncle are looking for you. Huh? But they didn't call you. Lin Guangyao got even more irritated, glaring at Yuan Chen, grinding his teeth in frustration. That damn Yuan Chen, with finances like that, why is he still pretending to call a taxi? Tonight, he's stolen all the attention. Damn. The others in the room also started to feel like something was off. Lie, young master, what's that message? Let me take a look. After just looking at it, he froze and immediately walked out of the room, leaving only one sentence. Ah, my house has something to take care of. I'll head out first. Soon after, the others also stood up one by one, quickly making their exit. I'm leaving too, young master Lie. We'll gather next time. Si stood there, staring in confusion, as if caught in a joke. Hey, wait a minute. What's going on? Why is everyone leaving like this? Chen Na, standing next to him, calmly got up and said something with hidden meaning. We should go too. Si, still puzzled, hurried to follow her, asking as he walked, Wait, what do you mean by that? How do you know what's happening? They were just checking the transfer message, and I haven't even looked at it yet. Chen Na glanced at him, her tone a little cold. Yesterday, Yuan Chen put an M9 in my hands and paid for it in full. Si stopped dead in his tracks, grabbed Chen Na's arm, and said in disbelief, Is that for real? Chen Na shrugged, her face emotionless. Why would I lie to you? I still have his car purchase contract right here. Si was completely stunned. Nah, I'm not blaming you. But with rich guys like him, if you know about his situation, you should have told me right away. This mess is because of your mistake. Next time. Chen Na angrily shook Si-Ji's hand off and said, Next time what? Si-Ji, today I've finally realized what kind of person you are. I misjudged you. Don't contact me again. Lai Yuhang sat down, draped an arm around Yuan Chen, and sighed deeply. If I had known you had so much money, I wouldn't have bothered with this gathering. What a waste of money. Yuan Chen replied casually, It's not too late to realize it now. None of those people can be trusted. They're fine for playing around, but they're just a hassle when it comes to business. By the way, tell me more about your idea for a quiet bar. Even though I'm just a minor shareholder, I still need to be involved in the planning for future projects. Lai Yuhang laughed loudly, patted his chest, and promised, Okay, you're a shareholder, you have a say. I'll go over the plan with you first. Half an hour later, the two of them discussed everything from the decoration styles to the business model and target customers. Lai Yuhang, in awe, grabbed his head and said, Oh shit, you really are smart. Going to college wasn't a waste after all. You're so sharp about business. It's like you have the soul of a pro. Yuan Chen stretched and gave a faint smile. This is what you call business genius, but I don't have time to be at the shop every day. You definitely don't. So it's better to find a location near the school. All right, I'm listening to you. Everything you say, Lai Yuhang replied. An hour later, a message from Chen Na came in. Mr. Yuan, the car you ordered is almost at the shop. You could come by on Friday to settle the final payment. Yuan Chen replied with a casual smile. No rush. Are you free tomorrow evening? I have a few specific questions about the car I want to ask you in person. Chen Na hesitated for a moment before replying. Mr. Yuan, this is... Right now, Bin Hu was like a money-making machine. With a limited amount of money to repay, the only way to maximize profits was to expand the system as much as possible and fully exploit this big money opportunity. Besides, Chen Na's looks and figure were top tier. Spending money on a beautiful girl like her? Totally worth it. He then sent another message to Chen Na. Tomorrow, 4th floor, tea restaurant, Gujin Mall. The next day at the restaurant on the 4th floor of the Gujin shopping mall, Chen Na rested her chin on the window, deep in thought. Yuan still hadn't arrived. Did I get here too early? Just then, a man walked in. Chen Na, what are you doing here? And you're even wearing your store uniform. Haha, I've never had a chance to flirt with this girl at the showroom. Finally caught her today. He then turned to his companions and said, You guys find somewhere else to eat today. I got some personal business to take care of. The man was none other than Zhang Jinyan, the general manager of the 4S showroom where Chen Na worked. His subordinates immediately got the hint, smiling knowingly. One of the staff spoke up, Boss Zhang, if you're busy, go ahead. We'll leave now. Another person added, Do you think Chen Na will go along with what Boss Zhang wants? I don't think so. She doesn't seem like that type. A third person chimed in. I wouldn't be so sure. Do you really think a girl would come to a fancy restaurant like this by herself to eat? Ha! What are you trying to say? Maybe Chen Na is setting up a chance encounter to catch Boss Zhang's attention. She usually seems so serious. Who would have guessed? Just then, Si-Ji happened to walk by and overheard their whispers. Chen Na is setting up a chance encounter with who? At this moment, Zhang Jinyan had a sly look on his face. He deliberately walked slowly toward Chen Na's table. Oh, Chen Na, what a coincidence. Are you here for a meal too? Are you alone? Would you mind if I joined you? Chen Na immediately felt uncomfortable. Boss Zhang, I'm sorry, but I'm meeting a friend. Upon hearing this, Zhang Jinyang's smirk grew even wider. Haha, oh come on, are you playing hard to get? Chen Na, I'm your boss, so what's the big deal if you have a friend? Let's eat together, it's fine. Boss saying, I'd appreciate it if you could keep some distance. You're already married and this isn't appropriate. But the fat guy didn't care at all. He confidently sat down with a smug smile on his face. Oh, so you're bothered by the fact that I'm married? No problem. I can always get a divorce. Meanwhile, Si Haiji was storming towards Chen Na, his mind filled with anger. Chen Na had kicked her aside, and now she was sticking with another guy. Was she looking down on him? His annual salary was nearly $5 million, and he drove a car worth over $300,000. Damn, what was he lacking? When he saw Chen Na sitting with a fat, old man like this, he almost exploded. Holy shit, am I really losing to this pig? Unable to hold back anymore, Si Haiji stormed into the restaurant, pointed directly at Zheng Jinyang, and shouted, You two, this dog of a man and woman, are secretly having an affair behind my back. Chen Na stared in confusion and asked, What are you talking about? Zheng Jinyang, also annoyed by the interruption, snapped back, Son of a bitch, who the hell are you? Without saying a word, Si Haiji charged forward and punched Zheng Jinyang square in the face, retorting, Who am I? I'm the one asking, who the hell you are? Zheng Jinyang was momentarily stunned by the punch, but he wasn't one to back down. He quickly stood up, grabbed Si Haiji by the collar, and gritted his teeth. Where the hell did this mad dog come from? You dare hit me? At that moment, Yuan Chen walked into the restaurant and froze when he saw the scene. He thought to himself, Oh, Si Haiji is here. What's going on? Did he catch them red-handed? Or is this fat guy just a shield? If that's not the case, I'd be the one on the ground right now. Just then, Chen Na walked over to him. Yuan Chen quickly grabbed her arm and pulled her away, saying as they walked, Miss Chen, let's go. Don't get involved with them. We'll leave here first. Then Chen Na drove, still angry, talking as she drove. Actually, I've only known Si Haiji for about half a month. After one meal together, I realized what a terrible person he was, so that same night, I broke up with him. Yuan Chen nodded in agreement. It's good to realize the true character of someone early on. At least now it's over and done with. But Chen Na didn't feel that way. She frowned, her voice full of worry. It's not over yet. Zheng Jinyang, the guy who got beaten up, is my boss. Now he's been randomly attacked, and I don't know how he'll try to make my life difficult in the future. Yuan Chen shrugged and said casually, A boss like that isn't worth working for. You should just quit and find another job. Chen Na sighed. It's not that easy to find a job now. If I switch to another store, I have to start from scratch. All the customers I've built up over the years would be wasted. Then they stopped in front of a flower shop. Chen Na stared out the window, her eyes full of thought. She said, Actually, selling things for a living is exhausting. I like to change careers, maybe open a cafe. On a good day, I could open the shop, and on a bad day, just close it and sleep in. That would be so much more comfortable. But to open a cafe, I'd need at least 300 to 400,000. I don't even know how long it will take me to save that up. Yuan Chen immediately got interested and turned to ask, You want to open a coffee shop? What if someone wants to invest? In his mind, he was calculating quickly. After subtracting the 700,000 yuan he had invested in Lai Yuhang's bar, he still had exactly 300,000 yuan left to invest. Chen Na laughed, joking, Well then, I'd quit my job and work for him without thinking twice. All right, Yuan Chen said, You can quit tomorrow. I'll invest 300,000 yuan to open the coffee shop, and you'll work for me. Chen Na froze for a second. Her eyes widened and she gasped, Huh? Are you serious? Her favorite level jumped up to 64. Before, she had been a little hesitant, and throughout the whole conversation, she hadn't been able to get her favorite level up. But now with this offer, it shot up. Wait a minute, Yuan Chen, are you joking? She asked. Yuan Chen gave a faint smile and nodded firmly. Yes, I'm serious. What's wrong? You don't want to work for me? After we open the shop, I'll pay you 12,000 yuan a month, plus commissions. If the shop runs smoothly for 3 months, I'll give you a car worth 200,000 yuan. Your car is getting old, so you might as well get a new one. Her mind was racing. No sales pressure, just working at the shop for 3 months and getting a new car. That's over 300,000 yuan in total income in the first year. Wait a minute. Was Yuan Chen planning to pamper her? Then she narrowed her eyes, her tone turning cautious. Yuan Chen, you're doing this because I'm not worth it. Even though the offer is tempting, I don't want to be a bird in a cage. And I definitely don't want to be the third wheel. Yuan Chen calmly explained, Don't overthink it. I'm planning to open a chain of coffee shops, and the first one is just a trial project. Our relationship is strictly professional, boss and employee. There's nothing shady going on. Chen now blinked, looking at Yuan Chen with suspicion. Really? Well, let me think about it. Suddenly, Yuan Chen's phone buzzed. Yuan Chen, are you free tonight? If you are, let's go grab some cold drinks. Yuan Chen looked at the message, his forehead creasing in frustration. Cold drinks? Does Hui Hui have such high expectations? I mean, I can go, but the frequency needs to be dialed back a little. After replying, he turned to Chen Na. Miss Chen, I have something to take care of. Please think it over and get back to me soon. With that, Yuan Chen walked straight to the familiar hotel room 808. As soon as he entered, he closed the door and Feng Min Hui immediately rushed over to hug him tightly. Yuan Chen, I missed you. Yuan Chen smiled and replied, Hui Hui, I missed you too. Feng Min Hui suddenly furrowed her brow in suspicion and asked, Wait a minute, Yuan Chen, you smell like another woman's perfume. Yuan Chen hesitated for a moment, quickly sniffed his own clothes, then blinked in surprise. Huh? No way. Could it be that the scent of Chen Na's perfume stuck to me from sitting in her car earlier? Feng Min Hui shoved him away with a dangerous look. Tell me, you have another woman behind my back? Yuan Chen immediately grabbed her shoulders and reassured her. Of course not. I only have you. I went to the 4S store today to handle some car paperwork, so I probably picked up the scent of some of the female staff there. You know how it is, the women in the showroom always wear really strong perfume. Feng Min Hui squinted and pouted. All right, but if you ever see someone else, you have to tell me beforehand, and also keep your distance from that employee. Got it. Yuan Chen smiled and swore. I got it, I swear. But in his mind, he was secretly thinking, it's not really about being unfaithful. It's just that the big spender system requires spending money on the opposite sex, making money through refunds. If you only stick to one person, how can you pick more fruit? Feng Min Hui still wasn't fully letting go of the issue, but she didn't want her anger to mess with more important things, so she decided to drop it. All right, I'm going to take a shower. Yuan Chen immediately grabbed her hand and she smirked mischievously. Later, I'll take a shower. No way, you're still wearing clothes. And so 2 minutes later, the two of them were at it again, playing around like cats and mice. Yuan Chen, I still want to. Yuan Chen immediately froze. Wait for me to shower, I'm all sweaty from earlier. I feel gross. He held onto the wall as he walked to the bathroom, silently screaming inside. Damn, Hu's needs were even stronger than Yuan Ding's. She's the one getting all the fun, and here I am about to be completely drained. But at the same time, her favorite level is already up to 90 points. He quickly widened his eyes. Hold on, wait a minute. Don't tell me that kind of physical activity boosts the favorite level this quickly. Last time, it went up to 86 in just one night, and today it's already jumped to 90 after just 2 times. Suddenly, a notification from the system popped up. The system has detected that the user has a person of the opposite gender with a favorite level above 90. Mission complete. Rewards, a lottery ticket with a 1 million prize, a 1 million gift card, and a card that unintentionally boosts abilities. Yuan Chen's eyes went wide in shock, so much so that he almost dropped his towel. 1 million from the lottery? That makes way more sense. It's a good way to get some money, and now I have a legit reason to keep it. Plus, I can use it to pay off my family's debt. But what caught his attention the most was the final reward, a card that could accidentally boost his abilities. Wait, a card that boosts abilities by accident? Does that mean I can dominate everyone later on? Sorry, Who, but I'm going to rise up now. From now on, it's not you bullying me. It's going to be me bullying you. Without wasting any time, he decided to use the card. A warm energy flooded through his body. This is amazing. I can really feel my body filled with energy. This system is truly something. The reward from the favorite level 90 quest is top tier. It's so practical. I mean, you don't even need to talk about it. But let's be honest, getting someone's favorite level up to 90 isn't easy. Right now, Lixio's favorite level is over 60, but reaching Hu's level is still a long way off. Chen Na, with her long legs and black stockings, just hit level 62. Looks like I'll have to take it one step at a time from here. I wonder who the next girl to hit 90 will be, but for now, I'm not going to think too far ahead. The most important thing right now is to test out my new abilities. Ha ha ha, this time the girls won't know what hit them. Then he slammed the door open and marched over to the bed. Hui hi. Feng Min Hui looked up in surprise and asked, What's wrong, Yuan Chen? Didn't you say you were going to take a shower? Yuan Chen grabbed her hand tightly, his eyes full of meaning. No, I changed my mind. He then struck a pose like a rooster, showing off. And, oh, this looks familiar. Feels like I've read something like this before. At the same time, over at Chen Na's apartment, she was lounging on the sofa, excitedly talking on the phone. Tian, there's this guy who said he wants to give me 300,000 to open a shop. And if I keep it running for 3 months, he'll give me a car worth 200,000. Do you think he's trying to sponsor me? On the other end of the line, Tian was shocked. Nah, are you sure you're not being scammed? Chen Na immediately dismissed the idea. No way, I've met him a few times. Last time, he even bought a car for me. Tian asked, curious, how old is he? I remember your car buyers are usually middle-aged men. Chetna pouted and answered, he's only 21. Tian shot up in surprise. Oh my god, he's that young and already buying luxury cars. Wait, hold on, the most important question, is he good looking? Chetna blushed slightly, stammering as she replied, he's kind of handsome. Tian happily nodded. Oh, then what's there to worry about? He's got money, he's good looking, and he's young. What more could you want? But, I'm actually older than him by 5 or 6 years. Tian burst into laughter. So what? They say women who are older are like gold and silver. And since you're 5 or 6 years older, that means you're holding onto 2 big lumps of gold. Chetna scratched her head awkwardly and muttered, but he has a girlfriend already. Tian, being all reasonable, said, girlfriend, not wife, so what's the problem? Nah, are you being silly? A guy like that, good-looking, wealthy, he's worth competing for, even if he's already married. What are you saying? If you're too nervous, just hand this golden egg-laying chicken over to me, and I'll take on the responsibility for you. Wait a second, don't you have a boyfriend already? So what? If I really had a rich guy willing to spoil me, I'd drop my boyfriend and go back to being single in a heartbeat. I'm not joking with you. All right, my boyfriend's back. Let's talk later. On the other end, after hanging up the phone, Chetna stood there, dazed as if someone had just drained all her energy. Her hand dropped limply, and the phone fell from her grasp without her even noticing. She glanced out the window, but all she could see in her mind was Yuan Chen's figure, lingering there. For some reason, she couldn't stop thinking about him. Meanwhile, on Yuan Chen's side, 40 minutes of nonstop fighting had left Feng Minhui lying on the bed, gasping for breath like she had just climbed 50 flights of stairs without an elevator. She winced and muttered, oh my god, that crazy bull, Yuan Chen, what's up with him this time? He propped himself up on the bed, looking completely unfazed as if nothing had happened, and casually asked, what's so strange? Am I stronger this time? Feng Minhui, embarrassed, nodded quickly and pulled the blanket up to cover half her face, like she wanted to hide in another world. But then hesitantly, she mumbled, 40 minutes and we did it twice already. Yuan Chen didn't show any sign of being tired. Instead, he leaned in close to her ear, his voice filled with mischief. Do you like it? Want to go again? Feng Minhui's eyes widened as if she had just heard the most absurd thing ever. She jumped up and asked, Yuan Chen, can you still do it? Not only was he confident, but he also said, Hui, I remember now. How about you take the lead this time? You get on top. You've never done it? No worries, you'll learn. Practical experience is the quickest way to get better. Ha! You really are bad influence. The next morning, after Feng Minhui had gone back to school, Yuan Chen lay back on his bed, stretching out comfortably and muttering, there are no classes this morning. I'll sleep a bit longer. But before he could even close his eyes, he suddenly jumped up as if jolted by an electric shock. He grabbed a napkin and his phone, muttering to himself, wait a minute, the lottery ticket from the big system lottery. I need to check it. He tried to stay calm as he carefully checked each number, reading them over and over again like he was solving a national-level math problem. Red numbers, 3, 4, 14, 22, 26, 27. The final blue number was 1. Holy shit, he won everything. Almost 7 million yuan. In an instant, Yuan Chen sprang up like a spring and yelled at the top of his lungs, I won 6.8 million yuan. This is such good news. I have to tell mom and dad right away. After their family went bankrupt, they had been living in poverty for so long. Without saying another word, Yuan Chen rushed home faster than rush hour traffic. As soon as he opened the door, he yelled, Mom, I'm home. Mom Yuan didn't even look up. She just stood with her hands on her hips and casually said, you're back. But don't yell like that. You're waking up the neighbors. Yuan Chen, still full of excitement, pressed on, where's Dad? Calling out, I have something really important to tell him. The older man had just stepped out of the room and looked at his son with a suspicious gaze. What trouble have you caused this time? Why do you need to wait for me? Yuan Chen quickly pulled him down into a chair and smiled widely. Dad, what are you thinking? I haven't caused any trouble. This is actually really good news. You two sit down first. Our family is about to hit big. We've won the lottery. Mrs. Yuan froze for a moment, staring at her son with disbelief. Son, are you under a lot of stress at school lately? The older man looked equally concerned and with a serious expression said, don't let your mind wander, kid. Focus on your studies. As for the debts, I'll take care of them. Don't let this distract you. Yuan Chen urged him, Dad, just take a closer look before you say anything. The older man squinted, carefully examining the lottery ticket, scanning each number like he was checking a college exam. Suddenly, his eyes lit up as if he saw a bright light. Honey, we really won. Is this for real? Unable to contain his excitement, the older man nodded enthusiastically. It's real mean is 6.8 million, nearly 7 million yuan. Yuan Chen continued, explaining that even after the 20% tax deduction, the amount they would take home would still be over 5 million. He believed this money would not only pay off all their debts, but would also drastically improve their family's life. Mrs. Yuan, filled with joy, said, "This is a huge accomplishment for you, son. It's going down in our family's history book. No cooking today. We're going out to celebrate this win." Yuan Chen awkwardly scratched his head and explained that he was currently in his third year of college and had just one more year before graduation. He expressed his desire to go out and start his own business to challenge himself. The older man, who had been listening quietly, smiled and said, "Business isn't easy at this stage." He added that Yuan Chen's thinking was excellent, since young people need to get out there and experience the real world. He advised that it would be better if Yuan Chen used his own money for the venture, but his parents would hold back a portion to help in case things didn't go well. Yuan Chen replied, "Just keep 1 million. You can hold on to the rest and use it for what's necessary." The older man smiled lightly and nodded in agreement. Yuan Chen's mother also encouraged him, saying, "Son, go ahead and do it. Your father and I will always support you." Meanwhile, Zhang Jinyang, after the fight, pointed at his bruised face and said, "I guess Chen Na already knows why I called her up here. This is the masterpiece of your boyfriend." Chen Na coldly responded, "I broke up with him. We don't have any relationship anymore. If you have any injuries, you should hold him accountable." Zhang Jinyang refused to let it go and insisted that Chen Na was wrong. He said, "Every injustice has its cause, every debt has its creditor. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have been beaten for no reason." He looked at her body, unable to hide his desire. He thought, "This woman is so smooth, and if I use this situation to my advantage, I'm sure I can have her." But Chen Na stood her ground firmly, believing that the fight had nothing to do with her. She declared, "Yesterday, when I was sitting, I told him I was meeting someone else, but he insisted on sitting there." Zhang Jinyang's face darkened, and he thought Chen Na was being unreasonable. He said, "Yesterday afternoon, you left your post without permission, causing the lobby to be unattended while there were customers." He then declared, "Now you're being penalized. You won't be receiving any customer assignments for the rest of the month, and you can come find me only when you've had time to think things through." Chen Na felt it was unfair and firmly said, "Based on what? I asked for time off yesterday." Hearing this, Zhang Jinyang burst out laughing, thinking her question was absurd. He insisted, "This isn't the first time you've worked outside, and as the general manager of this store, I make all the decisions." This made Chen Na angry, but she had no response. Meanwhile, Zhang Jinyang was feeling smug, believing that by stopping her from receiving customer assignments, he was also cutting off her commission. He calculated, if you're only getting your basic salary for the month, that's just 1,200 yuan, which isn't even enough to cover your rent. In the end, Chen Na was fed up and decisively turned to walk away. She said, "If this is what it means to be a general manager, acting so smug over a petty job, then this is definitely not a job I'll keep." Zhang Jinyang was shocked by her words. He jumped up and called after her, "Chen Na, don't leave so quickly. I suggest you think it over carefully." Meanwhile, Chen Na was also deep in thought, but she soon remembered something else. She observed that although Yuan Chen wasn't very tall, he was different from ordinary people because he got his work done efficiently. She thought that, aside from his plans, simply working part-time would already be a safe option for him. Chen Na said directly that there was no need to think any further, and that if she was going to stop, then she would stop. Half an hour later, she texted Yuan Chen. She let him know that she was preparing to resign and asked if what he said yesterday still held any meaning. Yuan Chen quickly replied, "Congratulations on escaping from the struggles and choosing a brighter path. If you have some free time, you can check out the store, and if there's a suitable position, we can finalize things right away." In his mind, he quickly calculated, "Great, that's the 300,000 from the investment task settled. No need to look for another project." Then he politely greeted when he arrived at Lai Xiao's place. "Teacher Lai, I'm here." Lai Xiao was busy struggling with a few boxes, sweat beading on her forehead. She turned around, let out a sigh, and said, "Yuan Chen, I'm sorry. I'm moving my office, and there's just too much stuff to transfer. I couldn't manage it all. I originally planned to call the class monitor for help, but she had something come up and had to take the day off." Yuan Chen looked up the pile of things in front of him and casually replied, "It's fine. Don't worry about it, miss. I don't have any classes this morning, and there's nothing to do at home. Do all of these things need to be moved? Well, if it's just the books and documents, I can handle that myself, but the desk and filing cabinet are too heavy," she answered. After saying that, she stepped over to a tall cabinet and reached up to take some books down. "Take all the books off the shelf first. Otherwise, they might fall when we're moving it." However, her height was limited, so she had to stand on tiptoe. While she was still struggling, a hand reached out from behind her to help her lift the stack of documents down. Yuan Chen, being both polite and confident, said, "Don't worry about it, Miss Lai. I've got it. but his words made her face turn bright red because his hand was not in the most appropriate spot. Haha, this situation feels familiar, she thought. Like Xiao can feel the contact, and in an instant, her face flushed even more, her heart pounding loudly. She nervously thought to herself, Yuan Chen, this time, it's even closer than last time. Yuan Chen really is making a move on me. Suddenly, she paused, hesitated, and asked, Are you done? Is it finished? Yuan Chen, completely unaware of her internal thoughts, placed the stack of documents down with a smile and replied, All done, miss. Just then, a loud voice came from outside. Miss, we're here to help. A group of students rushed in and immediately froze, staring at the scene before them. Their minds raced, and they all thought at once, Haha, why is Ms. Like Xiao's face so red? Yuan Chen quickly tried to distract them. Hey, come over here and help move the stuff. Can you guys carry this filing cabinet to the next room? Like Xiao walked over to a corner, gently pushing her soft hair behind her ear, still feeling flustered. Luckily, the two students were a few seconds late. If they had come earlier, they would have seen everything. That would have been so embarrassing, would have felt like a blow to her reputation. Yuan Chen was getting bolder and bolder. It was one thing at home, but now he was causing chaos in the office. Still, it was a bit exciting, wasn't it? No, that can't be right. Yuan Chen is my student. It's absolutely not possible. On the other side, Yuan Chen casually glanced over and noticed that Ms. Like Xiao's face seemed a little strange. He thought to himself, Oh, why did her favorite level just jump to 71? Could it have gone up that quickly? He stroked his chin deep in thought. It's not because I'm tall. It's because her hips are just too shapely. If it were a thinner teacher, it wouldn't have had much impact. But to his surprise, her favorite level had increased. Maybe he could visit her more often in the future to strengthen their bond. Saturday, about 800 meters from the south gate of the school. Inside a cafe, a group of beautiful girls were chatting excitedly, full of admiration. Jan Peng, I heard your car cost a total of $280,000 for the full payment. You haven't even graduated yet, and you're already driving a BBA. That means you've already surpassed 99% of your classmates. Lai Zhanpeng felt a rush of smug satisfaction, thinking to himself, Damn Feng Minhui is still pretending to be innocent and rejecting me. With my status, I definitely don't have a shortage of girls who would bow down and flatter someone like me. Sitting back in his chair in the cafe, he smiled proudly and said, Ha ha. Some people even criticize the BBA. But these girls noticed something else? No way. How can anyone criticize a car like that? How rich must their family be? Right? Some people just like to complain without knowing the full story. Honestly, if you've been working for 3 to 5 years, you still might not be able to afford a car like this. While Lai Zhanpeng was basking in the glory of his career bragging, at that very moment, his gaze happened to wander outside the window. He froze so suddenly that he actually spit out its sip of tea. His face turned bright red, as if someone had just exposed his secret. In his mind, he couldn't help but think, Holy shit, that woman is incredible. The sister he was talking about was none other than Shen Na. Those legs were absolutely gorgeous, worth losing 10 years of life just to look at them. Who knows, maybe someone's lucky enough to enjoy this masterpiece. Wow, look at that. That self-driving car looks fancy. What kind of car is that? Lai Zhanpeng looked down, paused for a few seconds, and then replied seriously, It's the top of the line M9. But just a moment later, when the car door opened and Yuan Chen stepped out, everyone was instantly taken by surprise. Wait, isn't that Yuan Chen? Lai Zhanpeng froze for 3 seconds, a million questions racing through his mind. Oh, wait, no, his family went bankrupt, so how is he driving this car? Before he could even process the shock, he saw Shen now waving and calling out to Yuan Chen from a distance, her voice sweet as sugar. Yuan Chen, over here, over here. That sentence hit him like a punch to the gut, his eyes widening in disbelief. He stood up quickly, his mind racing with one thought. This beautiful sister is waiting for Yuan Chen. Meanwhile, Chen Ness smiled gently and casually asked, The boss just texted me. She'll be here soon. So how's the car? Is it driving okay? Yuan Chen sat down, took a sip of water, and casually replied, It's not bad. The girl next to Lai Zhanpeng whispered in his ear with a hint of suggestion, Lai Zhanpeng, look over there. It seems like Yuan Chen and that girl have something going on. Lai Zhanpeng thought to himself, that damn Yuan Chen just broke up with his senior not long ago, and now he's already flirting with a beautiful girl outside of school. At that moment, a hand lightly tapped on the table, and a girl with full lips walked over and said, Hello, Miss Chen. I'm sorry, I'm a bit late. I had to pick up my child. It was the coffee shop owner, Lin Yu Chang. Seeing her, Yuan Chen immediately stood up and shook her hand. Yuan Chen looked quite young for his age. Yuan Chen humbly responded, Actually, we're all around the same age, all over 20. Miss Lin, let's sit down and talk. I'll keep it brief. My coffee shop is doing okay, business is steady with customers from the school. But right now, my family has a lot going on and my kids are still small, so I've decided to sell the shop. The transfer fee is 300,000. Yuan Chen thought to himself, I have 300,000 to invest, but if I put it all into the transfer fee, I still need at least 50,000 to cover the initial capital and pay Chen Na's first month's salary. With that thought, he smiled lightly and got straight to the point. Here's the deal. I won't haggle much with you. Let's settle on 250,000. Lin Yuchang quietly thought to himself. The price Yuan Chen offered was just slightly lower than his expected 270,000, but if this deal didn't go through, you might not find anyone as decisive as this again. Well, it's fine. He nodded and asked, if that's the price, can we sign the contract and settle the transfer fee today? Yuan Chen smiled confidently and nodded firmly. Sure, once we sign the contract, I'll transfer 250,000 to you right away. Lin Yuchang immediately turned to call over a staff member. Xiao Q, this is Mr. Yuan, the new owner of the shop. Please help him get familiar with the store's situation later. Xiao Qiu quickly approached Yuan Chen, bowed politely, and greeted him. Hello, the boss. Yuan Chen, pleased with her response, pointed toward Chen Na and calmly said to the staff member, just have her show me around. I don't usually come to the store, so from now on, she'll be in charge of everything here. The other girls, who had been eagerly listening to the conversation from the beginning, couldn't hold back and whispered to each other, Did you hear that? The deal for 250,000 was wrapped up in just a few minutes. That was fast, like way too fast. And clearly, Yuan Chen chose the shop because of the girl sitting next to him. Lai Zhanpeng sat on this side, his heart burning with anger as he listened. Suddenly, the phone rang, breaking the tense atmosphere. Lin Yuchang looked at the screen, hesitated for a moment, and said, Mr. Yuan, Miss Chen, I'm sorry. I need to step outside to take this call. As soon as she left the table, Chen Na immediately leaned toward Yuan Chen and lowered her voice. I just remembered. This Lin is actually the wife of Zheng Jinyang. Do you know who Zheng Jinyang is? He's the guy who fought with Si Haiji at the Gujin shopping mall, and he's also the owner of that 4S shop. Yuan Chen was a bit surprised when he heard this. He raised an eyebrow and asked, What a coincidence, huh? Immediately, a thought crossed his mind. This guy has such a beautiful wife, and yet he's using his position to cheat, exploiting his female employees with unwritten rules. That's disgusting. As a man, Yuan Chen just couldn't accept it. Adding another woman to the mix, I still have that conversation where Zheng Jinyang harassed and threatened me. I plan to take my salary and expose him, so people in the car industry can see what kind of person he really is. Yuan Chen looked at her, thought for a moment, then shook his head, his voice becoming more serious. I don't think that's the right way to handle it. Chen Na was a bit stunned, not understanding why. Once the chat history is posted, Zheng Jinyang will definitely figure out who did it. He's a middle-aged man, over 40, who lost his job but still has a family to support. I'm afraid he might do something harmful to you. Here's the plan. Leave this to me. I guarantee I'll bring him down and you won't suffer any harm in the process. Chetna looked at him, her gaze wavering. It was then that she realized how trustworthy someone had become by her side. She said, Yuan Chen, thank you. Yuan Chen didn't say anything. He simply pulled out his phone and calmly announced, I transferred 250,000 to Miss Lin and I also sent 50,000 to you. Out of that, 24,000 is for the first 2 months of wages, and the rest is seed money for the business. At that moment, a familiar sound echoed in his head. Checking, he saw that the system had notified him that the owner had used up the entire 1 million yuan investment fund, completing the first investment task and leveling up from a novice to a beginner investor. The continuous mission had now been activated, and the goal was to accumulate more wealth for a perfect life. Task. The owner will receive 10 million yuan in specialized investment funds to continue expanding investments. Mission Reward 1. All income earned from the investment will be tripled. Mission Reward 2. After completing the investments, the owner will obtain a mysterious business. Yuan Chen glanced at the notification in his mind, his eyes lighting up with interest. He thought to himself, I didn't expect the system to drop another surprise. This time, the investment fund increased tenfold, 10 million yuan, and there's a mysterious business as well. This is getting interesting. I'm more curious than ever now. Not long after, Lin Yuchang returned to the table with a bright smile and announced, Mr. Yuan, I've received the money. It's been a pleasure working together. I'll be leaving now and hopefully we'll meet again soon. Yuan Chen stood up and politely shook her hand. But as soon as he touched Lin Yuchang's soft hand, he froze for a moment. Oh, her hand is so soft, almost like it has no bones, and it carries that subtle, enticing feeling. Is this the charm of someone else's wife? And just like that, Yuan Chen started thinking about taking things further. He quickly regained his composure, smiled gently, and casually replied, "All right, we'll meet again." Half an hour later, at an upscale restaurant, Chen looked around at the luxurious setting and hesitantly asked, "Yuan Chen, this restaurant is really expensive. Do you come here often?" Yuan Chen replied casually, "Not really often, but today is a special day. We should celebrate the successful collaboration." Though Chen had not tried to maintain a calm expression inside, she was silently screaming, "Chen Na, this is really a tough partnership. How can a regular guy handle this? Chen Na, why don't you sit next to me?" She was momentarily startled, gasped in surprise, but then reluctantly moved over. Yuan Chen reached out, pulling her waist closer as he whispered, "Come a little closer." In his mind, he was calculating carefully. The coffee shop cost $300,000, and he still had to pay a monthly salary of $12,000. It was about time to start seeing some returns right. Chen Na's face turned bright red, and her mind was in turmoil as she thought, "There's no love or help in this world that doesn't come with a price. Could he really be trying to make money from the coffee shop?" But Lin Yu Chang said the cafe is barely breaking even, so the only thing I can give him is paying for the cake. Chen Na quietly reminded him, "Yuan Chen, the server is about to come in, don't act like this." Yuan Chen reassured her, "Don't worry, the food comes out really slowly here." And just like that, he continued his little inspection of her, making Shen Na unable to hold back soft, almost seductive moans. "Knock knock, Mr. Yuan, your food is ready." Chen Na jumped, whispering quickly, "Someone's coming." Only then did Yuan Chen stop, quickly straightening up like nothing had happened, and said, "Come in." Then Yuan Chen politely picked up a piece of food for Chen Na and softly said, "Try this, it's the restaurant's specialty." Chen Na looked at the guy in front of her, carefully picking up food for her. Suddenly, a thought crossed her mind. Actually, Yuan Chen was really handsome and had his own unique charm, but his only flaw was that he had a bit of a bad boy vibe. Even though he already had a beautiful girl like her by his side, he was still out there causing trouble. Unfortunately, she was already in too deep, and no matter what she thought or how she felt, nothing could change that now. Time passed quickly, and before she knew it, the meal was over. The cashier politely spoke up. "Mr. Yuan, the total is 2,652 yuan. Please scan the code here." Yuan Chen scanned the code, grinning as he mentally calculated. The meal cost 2,652 yuan, but the system offered a 3 times cashback, meaning he just earned 5,304 yuan. Earning money was as easy as flipping a coin. Meanwhile, Shen Na quietly muttered to herself, "Just one meal and it costs as much as the commission from selling a car. This is the life of the rich. Spending 2,000 yuan is nothing to them, like me spending 20 yuan. After leaving the restaurant, Shen Na suddenly spoke up. "Yuan Chen, I want to go back to the cafe and check on things with Xiao Q. Since I'll be starting work tomorrow, I want to make sure I understand everything first." Yuan Chen glanced at her and casually reminded her, "It's already 8:30 and Xiao Q gets off work at 9. If you go now, you'll mess up her schedule and might make her upset. Better go home and rest and stop by tomorrow instead." Chen Na hesitated for a moment, then blushed and said, "Sorry to bother you, but could you please take me home?" Yuan Chen didn't hesitate for a second. He smiled brightly and nodded in agreement. Not long after they arrived, Chen Na got out of the car and said, "You've worked hard today. After work tomorrow, I'll give you an update on the project." She was about to say goodbye, but before she could turn around, she heard Yuan Chen's voice, full of suggestion. "I'm feeling a bit thirsty. Is it okay if I come up for a glass of water?" She immediately turned bright red, stammering, It's not really convenient." Chen Na's heart was racing as she thought to herself, "Is this moving too fast? I thought earlier in the private room was already my limit." While she was still unsure, Yuan Chen rubbed his chin, raised an eyebrow, and asked with a teasing tone, "Oh, is there another man at your place?" At that, Chen Na quickly spun around and emphasized each word. "Of course not. See, Hai Ji and I broke up a long time ago." Yuan Chen gave a small smile, unfazed, and casually replied, "Well then, no need to make things awkward. I'm just here for a glass of water. What's the big deal? Are you sure? You really just had some water and then left?" Yuan Chen flashed a bright smile, but his answer had a hint of mischief. "Of course, but if you want me to stay the night, that's fine too." Ha. Shen Na shot him a glare. "Dream on." However, the door to the house was still open, and as soon as it closed behind her, Yuan Chen quickly blocked her path. One arm wrapped around her waist, while the other pressed against the door, putting him in complete control. Chen Na's face turned bright red as she fumbled to push him away, but her strength was as weak as a kitten's clawing at a chair. She stammered, "No, didn't you say you were just having water?" Yuan Chen smirked casually. "Yes, it was water, but not the kind you're thinking of." Before she could react, she was swiftly pulled into a whirlwind of intense emotions, one she couldn't escape. Meanwhile, downstairs in a car, a young man sat deep in thought. Nana must have quit because of me. I have to earn her forgiveness first. Even if we can't get back together right away, at least we can be friends. From there, I can slowly win her back. The person in question was none other than C-Hi-G. The lights in the house were off, so she must not have come home yet. He decided to leave the bouquet at the door. She'd definitely notice it. The roses symbolized eternal love, and she was smart enough to understand what he meant. However, as soon as he reached the door, he froze in shock. From inside the room, he heard distinctly Japanese-sounding moans. Ah, Yemi Kudasai. His eyes widened, and he muttered in disbelief, Is that Nana's voice? Holy shit, what the hell is going on? And she said, there was nothing between her and Zheng Jinyang. Turns out, they've already done it. C-Hi-G lost all composure. He rushed to the door, pounding on it and shouting, Zheng Jinyang, get out here. Yuan Chen suddenly heard the banging on the door like someone was trying to break into the apartment. He recognized the voice. It sounded like C-Hi-G. What a fool. They had broken up, and yet he was still getting involved in other people's business. Was he crazy? Meanwhile, Chen Na, who had been lost in the moment just moments ago, was suddenly jolted back to reality. She paused, listening carefully, then quietly said, I think I hear someone outside. Who's knocking at the door? Yuan Chen, fully aware of what was going on, calmly replied, You must have imagined it. It's probably just someone knocking on the door next door. Let's go, let's head into the room, Chen Na whispered softly. Yuan Chen, I'm not ready yet. Can you be a little gentler? Okay. At that very moment, right in front of the door, the bouquet of roses C-Hi-G had prepared fell to the floor, its petals scattering and breaking apart under the dim light. It was a scene many men have experienced. He crouched down, his hands trembling, his eyes red like someone heartbroken for the first time in their life. Looks like Navana's already been taken. I've lost my chance completely. Stai, don't forget to tell him to use protection. The next morning, Yuan Chen finally started to wake up groggily. It smells so good, like toast and fried eggs. Chen now was preparing breakfast. Yuan Chen sat up and looked at the girl outside. He thought to himself, Chen Ne is so thoughtful. This feels completely different from being at the hotel with Wu Hui. At home, there's warmth and peace, while the hotel was just a fleeting moment. Then, the system interrupted his thoughts immediately with a beep. A perfect life should have its own home, creating a better environment for both yourself and the girls. Time-limited mission. Buy a house of at least 100 square meters for Chen Na. Mission Reward 1. The money spent on the house will be refunded double. Mission Reward 2. After buying the house, the owner will receive a secret house. Note, Mission Reward 1 can be compounded based on the favorite level. Yuan Chen opened his eyes wide, his mind full of thoughts. Wow, just a fleeting thought and the system immediately assigns a task. With how generous this system is, the mysterious house is definitely not going to be anything bad. It could even be a big villa. If that's the case, I'll have to host pool parties regularly. Looks like I'll need to find a few more high-quality girls. The more surprises, the more benefits. At that moment, Chen Na turned around and smiled, asking softly, What's up? You're awake already? There's still 2 minutes before breakfast. I wonder what kind of reward I'd get if Chen Na's favorability level hits 90. He pretended to ask innocently, Is today's breakfast just going to be regular food? Then he walked over and hugged Chen Na from behind. She immediately blushed, startled, and exclaimed, Huh? We did that so many times last night. Isn't that enough? And it's broad daylight. Yuan Chen whispered in her ear, You keep making your breakfast, I'll have mine. The cooking spatula fell to the ground. Before Chen Na could react, Yuan Chen was right next to her ear. By the way, if you're free later, let's go house shopping. I'll buy you one. Chen Na immediately froze, her eyes wide in disbelief. Ha,